Oh shit. Here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, and today we got the full complaint review in the Klein lawsuit against Hasan Orbiters, Denims, Casey Tron, and Frogan. We're going to be going over those today as much as we can, and I'll tell you the parameters of this today on today's episode. Now, there will be a fast facts later coming out after this ends. So after this stream ends, there's a fast facts that's coming out that specifically calls out Hasan and his claims of bias in this. He had two clear claims, one against the system, the legal system, and one against lawtubers claiming bias. So that's going to be after this as a fast facts premiere. But this one is going through the whole documents. Now, just to be clear, this was requested by you, the people. I did not actually want to do this. So I understood the general parameters of this. And I said, listen, this is going to be very long. I like to keep my streams about an hour and a half. This will probably go closer to 2 hours, particularly if we do it. I'm capping it at 2 hours and 30 minutes. What we're going to do is we're going to go with the results of the poll. And I will give the poll another 5 minutes. I'll give it about 5 minutes to settle out, and the number one choice is going to go first. We're going to review that first, which appears to be Denims. Denims is in the lead right now with 45%. The number two will be second, and the third will be third, right? So right now it's Denims, Casey Tron, Frogan. So if you want to flip that, start voting, go to the poll and vote. If you think Frogan's more important than Casey Tron, or if you think Casey Tron is more important than Denims, go vote. And we're going to do this democratically, semi-democratically, and we're going to go with that order. So check that out in the poll. So far, Denims is first. I guess people just aren't into Denims, or maybe she's made more stupid comments, so maybe hers is more interesting. And then Casey Tron, maybe because she's also been high and made stupid comments. So who knows? What do you? Maybe you guys just don't like Frogan. I don't know what's going on there. But that's what it's going to go, and we'll go as long as we can go, up to 2 hours and 30 minutes. So if I'm in the middle and I'm still finishing one, or let's say we only get through two, well, that's just the way it's going to go. That's going to be the upper cap, because these are long, but we're going to not read the footnotes, and we're not going to read anything that's kind of superfluous or repetitive at the end, maybe like prayers for relief or stuff like that. We'll both kind of skim those and go quickly on those. But they are pretty lengthy. So it's going to take us a while to get through them. But I've got those three. Now, we do know, and this is a little bit of preliminary stuff, we do know that Sean the Black is threatened by Ethan Klein to be added to the complaints. Now, right now, I believe I saw a message from Ethan saying that he was going to consider tearing up the Sean the Black complaint if Hasan donates to the legal causes of the other three. So if Hasan gives donations, which is very interesting, because that's a little bit of a trap, because it opens them up in discovery as to financial ties, financial allegations, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot going on there. I want to let that kind of situation play out and see whether Sean is ultimately filed against or not. But that's very interesting, because it kind of defeats that argument, which was my previous fast facts about sexism. Because obviously, if you throw in a man, well, then that argument's out. Now you can cry racism, but I mean, the races are all over the place. So which race are you discriminating against? It's kind of not clear. So yeah. By the way, I'm back from vacation. I'm back in Bangkok, the main studio. I'm very happy to be back. I'm happy to be streaming again, back on good internet. The islands of Thailand don't always have good internet. In fact, at one point, the power was going in and out, which was fun, but I still managed to get everything recorded and in. So let me get some of these comments and members beforehand. Nathan Albright as a new member. Welcome. Crass Usable gifted 5 legal mindset memberships. Thank you so much. And then another 5 for a total of 10 legal mindset memberships. Thank you. Rebel for 3,000 says trigger warning. Frogan is involved. Yes, Frogan is indeed involved. She's indeed involved. Doc Holiday 5472. So just woke up and get some live legal mindset. Nice. How you doing, Andrew? I'm great. I'm glad to be back in Bangkok. Glad to be back. You guys understand this. Anybody who's been on a vacation, I was out there for about 6 days. You just got to be in your own bed, your own home, your own zone. And, it's good to be back in your regular rhythm. I was really thrown off with my normal patterns, but it was so much coming out that I managed to get a bunch of fast facts out. And some of those have been my best videos. In fact, shout out to the clip. The clip of my initial review is now one of my almost my number one clip and short video on the entire, in fact, number one video overall in terms of views. I think we're pushing almost 600K. It could be the first one I get to 1 million. Who knows? Or 750K. Who knows how big that one goes? But awesome that there's a lot of new people seeing my content, words getting out there. A lot of other content creators are using my coverage. That's awesome. You are free to clip my stuff as much as you want, or you're free to watch the whole episode as long as you add commentary to it. I really don't care. As long as it's not intended as a substitute. I don't really care. So yeah, but I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Aram says Josh MC is romantically interested to Frogan. I don't care. Once again, I have no personal stake in these people. I don't mind their drama. I read every super chat. So just so you guys know, unless they violate TOS or get weird, I'll read the super chats. But I really don't care about the personal drama for these people or the politics or whatever. I'm trying to focus on the law. Although I will laugh at a good joke every now and then. 001 for 10 pounds says, we the people have spoken. More quality legal content about. That's right. Garrett Griffin 0971 says, welcome back. For today, I'll play Sergeant Schultz because when it comes to all this stuff, I know nothing. There we go. Crass Usable for 6 months. When did my username become the @one? King Lugia. Oh, it's King Lugia. What's up, brother? Appreciate you. Muzzy said Florida Mindset. Ethan suing most of Twitch. Most, not all though. Not all, but most. That's true. Twitch is having a bad day. And there obviously, but will be, by the way, there will obviously be a clip version of this. This will probably be clipped down into like the lawsuit segments. So like the Frogan, the Denims, the Caseytron. So that'll probably be how this one is clipped down. So you'll be able to see those in individual segments, right? Okay. Yeah. And thank you. Yeah, no, appreciate focusing on legal and ignoring drama. That's what I intend. I intend to educate and entertain. We have fun here. We have fun, but the main focus is to be objective and not hit the drama stuff. I don't care who wins the drama war. I care who wins in court. And to me, that's always been more interesting and fascinating because there's objective rules. The drama war, you can say everybody loses or everybody wins, depending on your perspective, right? There's kind of no objective outcome. But with court, there is an objective outcome. Someone does win and lose. We may not like that. We may disagree with that. But someone does win and someone does lose. There will be a winner and a loser here. Someone will take an L. And it could still be Ethan. And there's a lot of claims of bias, a lot of claims that, people are in the tank. Ethan could lose. It's never been a 100% chance for Ethan to win. There's no such thing in court as an 100% chance to win. A judge could have a bad day, could not like you, and it could go against you. That's very much possible. It is possible that all of the orbiters could prevail, or maybe one of them prevails, or maybe two of them prevail, right? Maybe Frogan and Caseytron are able to get away with it, but Denims doesn't. Who knows? It's very possible. So just understand that. The Fat Hacker 5914 for Aussie 5 says, hello from the land down under. Finally, because of stream, great content. Glad to see it scuff. Yeah, there you go. Mick Kittle says, become a member today. Make a nuisance stream cope today. Today. Yeah, sure. Become a member. By the way, there's a documentary. Another documentary that came out on the YouTube of the another Johnny Somali documentary. So those that enjoy my Johnny Somali coverage, I'm going to do that as a member stream, like a watch along, and we're going to watch that together. So if you're interested in getting that as like exclusive members only content, because we still have to do some members only content to round out the month here, make sure you're a member. You can be a general member or a BLM member, but make sure you're a member. We're going to get that done before the month of June closes out before we go into July, before we go into America month. Billy Aoki says, I love Frogan leg porridge. Fallen Hero says, down with the lazy reviewers. Now, once again, I am not here to say that all review content's bad. Some is good, but there is a line that needs to be drawn. And if you really can just literally put on something, get up 100% of the time and just leave your chair there, then what are you doing? Like that to me, that's just a re-upload. That's just taking the same content, re-upload again, your chair in the corner. Or if you're there just silently watching with no commentary, not good, not really good. But at the same time, you do want to leave room for fair use, and you do want to leave room for good commentary. Risk Ant-Man says, good afternoon, Andrew. Just want to say I've been absolutely loving your coverage on various topics. One of the best creators to have on my second monitor just listen for hours. Love from NL. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. Over there in the Netherlands, I met a lot of folks. A lot of folks in the islands of Thailand are from Europe. A lot of Germans, Brits, Aussies, Netherlands. I met a Czech. Lots of cool people. Ukraine. Awesome people. Love Europe. Love the UK. Really good stuff. And happy you're watching from wherever you guys are in the world. RV Beaks gifted 10 Thingle memberships. Thank you so much. Spoobnini said the drama is fascinating, but it isn't the law. I've always appreciated you putting your unbiased take out there. Also, what are your thoughts on drama tubers using clips? Are they fair use? Drama tubers can do what they want as long as it's a clip. I'm happy for them to use my clips as long as they comment on them, or they take it and they shorten it down and they make it something different and they add something to it. That's fine, but just make sure you're adding to it and not just trying to replace a video that I have on my own channel. So as long as they clip it and they do something to it, I'm okay. That's fine. Rebel 3000 says, I don't know why it's using my ad, but longtime viewer. Holy crap, it's been 16 months. Well, welcome. Fentez T70 says, Ethan recently added Sean the Black to lawsuits. Do you think he has a case against him too, or is there not enough information? Not enough yet. We do not have the complaint against Sean the Black. When that is filed, I will review it live for you guys, right? But we don't have that yet. I don't have that yet. Germ70 says, people have to understand there has to be standards to A-log people. You can't just steal people's content while harassing them. Yeah, so you can't just take their whole video as a way to steal views. That's the core of it. If your only aim is to steal views without doing anything to it, that's not good enough, I think, in the mind of infringement. If your point is to heckle or to parody or to teach or educate or add an insightful angle, that's fine. And by the way, I've said other people who did commentary on the nuke, like, for example, I give the example of Asmongold. I don't think even if Ethan tried to sue Asmongold, I don't think he'd win. I think Ethan would lose, right? So let's go against that. No Guard Codesmith says, is Frogert really an orbiter? I would assume she has a significant gravitational pull of her own. Oof, oof, oof. Once again, RV Beaks, thank you for the memberships. Temp for 25 Hong Kong says, what do you think about people saying Ethan Klein is extorting by threatening Sean the Black with a lawsuit unless Hasan pays? Once again, that's not criminal. That is not criminal at all. It's not. I mean, you can call it like metaphorical extortion, but it's not criminal, the crime, right? You could say it's putting pressure on Hasan, it's pinching Hasan, it's pushing him. It's not criminal. You could call it morally messed up. And once again, you guys can make moral judgments on this as you want. That's fine. People can say it's morally wrong for Ethan to sue. That's up to you guys, whether or not you think that's moral or not moral. In fact, let's see the winners in the chat. The winners, Denims, Casey, Tron, and Frogan. So I'll put up a poll in the chat. Put up a poll in the chat. Are the lawsuits moral? Copyright lawsuits moral? I don't care. It's just a yes or no question. Do you think it's okay? It's moral for Ethan to sue? Yes or no? If it's okay, you think the lawsuits are okay? Yes. If you don't, you think it's immoral? Like, no. I mean, once again, I don't have a dog in the fight one way or another. I just want to know what you guys think. Wild Kate says, I know suing Twitch for unfair TOS enforcement is not realistic, but do streamers sign any type of contract with Twitch? Or could there be an option where they have to prove application of TOS is unfair? So that's a separate episode. I'm going to talk about that. I think that the way I've talked about that and where that's going to come up with Twitch, it's separate. It's going to be like a tortious interference with contract or some sort of business interference with Twitch. And I think what's going to happen is somebody big has to lose a contract or an advertiser or lose money, and that will give a good cause of action to go after Twitch. But there's got to be a lot of money lost in that TOS unfairness. So essentially, let's say Tectone, a good old techie, a good old egghead, right? Let's say Techie's banned for a day. Is it worth 1 day of revenue on Twitch to sue Twitch? No, it's not. Like, oh, maybe he lost 24 hours of revenue or even a couple days, 3 days of revenue. It's probably not worth it. Lawsuits are expensive, as you can see here. And Twitch is going to defend. They're going to defend well. They're well backed. So they're going to have lawyers that are going to fight back. So it's got to be a big number. It's got to be somebody banned for a month or maybe a perma ban that people challenge. JP Ravenfire, thanks for the membership. Bar Boren says, could YouTube also sue for lack of loss of ad revenue? Could a creator sue YouTube if they're banned? Once again, it's possible, but there's a difference. You have to remember, possible versus should. Is it a good idea versus can you? Yes, you can sue for almost anything. It's possible to sue for almost anything, but is it practical? Should you? In many cases, no. So same thing for YouTube, for enforcement. It's possible to sue YouTube, but is it worth it? And that's one of the reasons why changing the TOS non-legally in a non-legal way is the way to go if we could pressure them to change or to update or to enforce equally. And I know this because I was a corporate attorney. I was a business attorney. I know that lawsuits are not the way to go. Lawsuits waste a ton of money. It's better to use other pressures and forces that are usually free, like public opinion, to force people to do stuff and change policies or fix them, etc. CPTIC 19 says, dropped out of law during COVID. You made me want to go back. Well, no, listen, don't think you have to study law or go to law school to do something in the law. You could be a paralegal. You can be somebody who sets policy. A lot of the law is not done by lawyers. A lot of legal work is not done by lawyers. In fact, you might even be better off going into AI because there's going to be a lot of costs over there. Slug says, why aren't you 5'1"? Because I'm 6'6". Ray Danino says, if Ethan wins, why does it open the door for creators like Sniper Wolf, who are known for their big reactions, to be sued later, even without bad intent? Depending on the ruling. So it depends, but it's possible. In fact, it's likely it would open the door for other lawsuits. Yes, it would. Now, that doesn't mean they'd win. By the way, that doesn't mean Sniper Wolf will be guilty. There's no guarantee. But does it open the possibility? Does it make it stronger? Yes, it would make it stronger. Belliberal says, good morning from beautiful in the Fountain. Hey, Drogba says, the internet calls Frogan Hijabba the Hutt, and that is hilarious. As a Star Wars fan or a former Star Wars fan, I can see that. RV Beak says, annoying these at names. Just call me Robert. Oh, sorry. Hey, sorry, Robert. I'm sorry, Robert, brother. We know each other. Robert. Thank you. And Robert's a great supporter of the channel, so thank you for that. Question, is fair use the same as quotation rights? No, it's not exactly the same. No, it is not like one for one with quotes, etc. No, that's a good question though. 8899S14, welcome as a new member. I'm here for the scuff for 20 legal mindset memberships. Hold on.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
I'll throw in a little Somali there, as a homage to the other coverage that I am so engaged in. But thank you for that. Smash a like button if you're liking this coverage. And thank you for being here. Restless Medic says, way I see it, having seen all the complaints on the other channels, it seems like Ethan cherry-picked some of the most egregious examples to paint and accomplish his objectives. It seems narrowly aimed, and that's fine to me. That's okay. There is nothing wrong with using your strongest arguments. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with only suing the worst offenders. That's fine. Ethan does not have to sue everybody to have a case in court. He can just sue who he wants to sue, and he can pick and choose. That's fine. There's nothing illegal about that. Once again, you can say it's immoral, but let's look at the poll. 92% of you think that the copyright lawsuits are moral. Only 9% of you out of 2,000 votes, only 9% of you think it's immoral. So there you go. Pirate Skeleton 7828 says, I think the strongest argument against Ethan is targeting them for personal reasons, but it'll be hard for their defense to overcome their self-incriminating videos to the intentional infringement. Pirate Skeleton, that is a great moral argument. but it has nothing saying you targeted somebody for personal reasons. While it is a moral argument, and that may make Ethan Klein a bad, dirty person in your mind or in somebody else's mind. I don't care. I don't care what reasons he has, because legally those reasons are irrelevant. You can sue people for altruistic, good reasons to save the world and the universe, right? Or you can sue people for bad, nasty reasons because you're greedy, because you want money, because you're an evil person. That's the legal system. It really doesn't care about your personal motivations. It cares about the objective law. And that's a thing we both like and some people don't like about the system, is that it really is blind to those personal motivations, especially if they're legally irrelevant, which in this case they are. Absent God says, with filing with Congress allow for more damages, is that a good standard for future creators? It's required. It's required to claim the statutory damages in this, and it's required to go ahead and file. So yes, that was required. He just did it beforehand. He could have done it later, but he went ahead and did it ahead of time. So essentially filing, it was going to be necessary at one point. So getting these, copyrights in officially was going to be necessary at some point. He just did it ahead of time because he was setting a trap. Cube says, what are the chances that Twitch will step in and involve itself? They've been known to show favoritism to Simon Circle. Let them. I don't think it would change anything. And by the way, it would just actually open them up to discovery. So this is actually a really good question. In fact, I'm going to need my editor to get this one out as a short. If Twitch got involved because they wanted to save their asses, all of Twitch's records would be opened up for discovery. So everything, emails, text messages, Dan Clancy's midnight booty calls, right? All of those are going to be opened up to scrutiny, to discovery. That means the court was going to see these and Ethan's going to get these. So imagine all the data at Twitch, all the data that would come out if Twitch got involved. Please, God, let Twitch get involved. I would love that. It would be a bloodbath because we know there has been a bunch of communication about those people. I mean, they threw Hasan a birthday party. Hell, that could become relevant at some point, right? All the stuff that is there could come out and be relevant. So once again, please do that. Please, Twitch, get involved. That will be glorious. It will make me $1 million. Please do that. It'll be great. It'll be great. It'd be an amazing case. It'd be an amazing case. Lord Pessis says, Hasan and his orbiters are so protected. I see this as the only way to punish them for their insane rhetoric and provocation. It might be. And I think Ethan thought about this, and I think his lawyers, which are good lawyers, thought about this, and they said, this is the way to get him. Because we can come for defamation, but that's if it's hard for it's real hard. Although I will say this. Now, I'm once again, I take no sides, but Hasan Piker and his orbiters, but they really follow from Hasan, is one of the people on the internet that is the most comfortable using slander and defamation. I've heard language about other content creators that is clearly defamatory. Like there's no doubt it's defamation. And he uses it and says it so casually. And he is very lucky that these other creators have not decided to take them to the mat, take them to the court. And it's only because defamation amongst public figures is very difficult, right, to prove, and it's a hard case and it's expensive, that these people probably haven't done it. But many of them could, for what he said about them. And there's somewhere I've seen him cross the line. I will say that. Rune QM, as a new member. Taco World says, damn, hope I'm not late. Not yet. Dupa Supa for 5 says, as far as I know, you don't get sued if you stay out of trouble. That's it. That's exactly right. Big Buddha says, you say bloodbath. I say Sea of Tea. Teeny Booper says, chat, can you edit your @name in the channels? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Sorry. Yeah. Edit that for me, please, guys. I love you. Sparks says, all your base are belong to Klein. Mike Burke became a new member. Welcome, welcome. Snuggly says, if there is a question, if 3 in question hadn't gone on record saying they're intentionally siphoning views from Ethan, this wouldn't be happening. I don't think so either. I don't think he would have as strong of a case unless they said that. I agree. Andy Smith, 7638, says, thoughts on Ethan's little quip about building his attorney's generational wealth. Laughed at that. It's not wrong. These cases are what make lawyers really rich. This is going to make his lawyer up 6 figures easy in one case, which is amazing, which is going to be great. Could even be more. Like it could be high 6 figures. Who knows? but they're going to be very wealthy. Yes, that is very true. That's very true. XXCia says, I pray this lawsuit ends up in the platforms banning reaction content. It'd be better for all content if people get a real job. I think they just need standards. Look, reactions are okay if they have a standard. I don't want all reaction content gone. In fact, it's good to react and add substance. I think that is fair use. It is transformative, but there needs to be guidelines. There needs to be rules. There needs to be, a level at which you have to contribute. Ryobi says, let's hope the nuisance streamers don't abuse it like a certain cabbage boy and his boiled crab trying to silence the witness. Anyone talking about, oh, wait till tomorrow's stream. We got another nuke dropping on Somali. Oh boy, wait for tomorrow. Rebel says, I just hope this dodges Hasan's orbit. They've been known to put bad faith slander with people that don't take their side. Once again, he's playing with fire. He's playing with fire by slandering and defaming people. And at a certain point, somebody's going to take him to the mat. Now, it is smart generally to ignore people's slander and defamation. I generally do because, once again, I don't care what internet people say about me. I just care about the law. And I generally ignore these things as a policy, as a practice, unless it's something objective to talk about. But once again, I think there's going to be a large creator who he defames and he goes too far and that creator takes them to the mat. Barbarone says, just to clarify the YouTube question, if YouTube could sue the creators because the traffic has moved to Twitch, so YouTube will... Oh, interesting. Maybe. In order for YouTube to do that, first Ethan would have to win. So if Ethan wins, then there might be a better case. But a good question. That's actually a really good question. Maybe. That a very creative lawyer could do it. Now that, once again, would it win? Is it kind of dicey? Yeah, dicey. Yeah. But interesting. Zabu Suzuki as a new member. Alita007 as a member. Welcome. Sidanku says, is this going to end up in a jury or judge trial? It might be easier. Well, it's going to depend on the case, but generally, I believe these are going to be jury trials. And because he's demanding a jury trial. So typically those be that request would be granted. I can imagine it would be easier to convince one versus many in California, although we did pick the most unlikable people to go after if it's a jury trial, a la Deb and Heard. Yeah. Raggedlands has worked on some future apartment yesterday and today. Now for a lazy afternoon with a few brewskis and some idiots getting sued. Cheers. I'm going to read one more and we're going to do this because we got 6,000 people and we got to go. We're going to start with Denims. Will you accept Denims as your client if she approaches you? Keep up the good work. I would not touch that with a million-foot pole. Also, I'm not in the U.S., so I'm not really representing any of I'm not traveling back to the U.S. from Asia to do this. I have a nice trip to Japan planned over the next, there'll be next couple weeks, and then I'll be in Korea at some point for the Somali trials. So I've got things to do here in Asia. I don't like to fly that 20+ hour flight back to the United States to cover this or represent somebody. Did you get a haircut? No, I took a shower and I combed my hair. And I got the nice comb out here. Just gonna do a little over there. There we go. Just for you guys. All right. Deviant says you're kind of killing it. Thank you so much. All right. Let's start with this. I'll get the rest later. Actually, I'll get this one here because this is a large one. Supta says for 20, honestly, a broad question due to curiosity. Why are the defamatory cases so expensive? What if the lawyer does it for free? Do you have to pay the court just for the officials to show up and hear a case? You do have court fees. The court fees are not the problem. The lawyer is the problem. The problem is, okay, the plaintiff's lawyer, that's the aggressive party, they might work on what's called contingency. So contingency means they get a piece of the winnings. So if you win, they get a piece. Now, some lawyers will work on that. So they'll say, if you win, I get a third or a half or some part of the money. That'll work for the plaintiff. But for the defendants, they don't work on contingency. That you have to pay them. So for Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron, their bill is going to be huge. Ethan might have it on contingency or part contingency. So maybe he paid like $10,000 or $20,000 for them to like write all these complaints, and then the rest is on contingency. I don't know. And I'd be interested if Ethan wants to talk about that. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe his attorneys want to keep that confidential. That's fine. But it'd be very interesting to know what their legal setup was and what that agreement is. But you can find contingency for that. Also, FZ, thank you for the 5 Legal Mindset memberships. So without further ado, let us start with the lawsuits, shall we? And the first one up, per popular demand, is our girl, Denims. So we've got this one. Obviously, this is filed 80 pages. Strap in, boys. Once again, we're going up to 2.5 hours here. This is in the United States District Court, Central District of California. So two things to note: California, but this is in U.S. courts, I mean federal court, not state court. So there's the federal rules of procedure, not the state rules, right? And this is in the Central District of California. This is TED Entertainment, California Corporation, versus Alexandra Marwa Saber, aka Denims or PKA Denims. And you can see here, jury trial demanded. So I would presume that if this proceeds to trial, there will be a jury trial. So typically they will grant that. So let's go down here. You've got this one, and here you got The Nightmare on Denham Street. So I've talked about legal writing. Legal writing is boring, and judges are humans. You want to entertain them. So while many people may find these things silly, as long as they are not distracting, adding something interesting that is not completely distracting is okay. It's fine in legal writing to be engaging. You don't have to be boring. That's a misnomer about legal writing, that you have to be boring. In fact, the best legal writing tells a story. Humans like stories. Everybody likes stories. I love stories. I read books all the time, audiobooks, everything else. I love stories, right? I read the 40K novels all the time. You've got to keep people engaged. And legal stuff is no different. If you can make it interesting and keep people laughing or, just engaged, paying attention, that's good. That's really good. Really, really good. I'll get a couple of these comments and we'll go. Cosmic Jester for gifted one. And then Hazarat says copyright law in the U.S. is a joke compared to most European countries. P.S. Keep up the good work. I'm not a European lawyer, so I wouldn't know. I'd be very interested to compare and contrast the two and do like a comparative study in the U.S. versus Europe and, what the differences are. I'm sure there's some, but you also got to remember there's a lot of international norms when it comes to copyright. C5 Domination says, what sort of defense do you see the orbiters using that may be effective, if any? Good question. I think they're going to try to argue that it was still transformative. I think they're going to argue that even a chair is transformative, which, once again, it might work. It could work. But, they've got to distinguish the stuff. They've got to, see how it was different. Like, for example, if they try to compare it to Sargon, Sargon's famous case where he took a video and he changed the title and he did some, minor edits. And they found, yep, that's transformative enough. But the difference was Sargon never came out there and said, I'm doing this to siphon views. It was never a replacement for the original video in the original version. It wasn't meant to be a substitute. So that's kind of the distinguishment there. But they can make an argument. Once again, they can try to make these arguments that even de minimis stuff can be transformative. Ryobi said, so essentially Twitch is like a certain sinking yacht where there's favoritism, protecting certain people and breeding a toxic work environment. Yes. Very good comparison to VTubing world. Pirate Skeleton said, I agree that the personal attack argument is legally invalid, but I like to engage in the hypotheticals for the purpose of analysis. Hope Ethan wins. No, that's fine. And look, I'm happy that you brought that up. I'm not mad. You guys can bring up non-legal arguments and I'll talk about them. And I'll even concede them. I'll even give them out. I'll even give them out that, yeah, this seems personal for Ethan. It probably is personal. You're probably right about that. It probably is personal, but it can be personal. There's nothing illegal about that. Sony, I'm 414 says, won't his flaunting hurt his case? I mean, it's bad optics. Rich YouTuber using small creators, regardless. No, legally, it's irrelevant. Legally, you can sit back and say, I gotcha, and just sip on a cup of wine from a helicopter, dropping $100 bills on a bunch of plebs. You can be the most stuck up, rich a-hole. Legally, it's irrelevant. Legally. Now, a jury, you could say, might think, okay, we don't like Ethan, right? That's possible. But has he crossed that line? I don't know. Also, are the people on the other side so likable? Are they like these lovable saints that are just harm-free and have done nothing wrong and are totally innocent? Is that really the other side there? Is this really like Scrooge McDuck versus who is the guy from Crotchet? The kid from what's it? I'm forgetting it. Oh God. The kid with the crutches from the movie with the ghosts in Christmas. What's that movie? Chat, help me out here. Help me out. I'm forgetting. Like, is it chat? Tiny Tim. Thank you, chat. Tiny Tim. Is this really Scrooge McDuck versus Tiny Tim? Is this really not Jimmy? Who said Jimmy from South Park? You're banned from the chat. This once again, I'm from Christmas Carol. Thank you, Christmas Carol. Tiny Tim from A Christmas Carol. This is not Scrooge McDuck versus Tiny Tim. Okay. Yeah. Thank you guys. Appreciate this. Once again, I can be kind of stupid too. Nate Rivers 6107 says, I think people are forgetting the chilling effect of Hasan's orbit losing. Yeah, no, I mentioned that. I'm not forgetting that. Nate, I mentioned that. And that's the one thing I don't like about this. And I want the judges, if they rule in Ethan's favor, to make it very freaking clear that this is specifically because they said it. Because otherwise, if the judges don't say that and don't make it crystal clear, it's because these people made it obvious they were substituting this and they were doing this maliciously to siphon views, then there is going to be a chilling effect. And that is true. People like SS Sniper Wolf is going to be terrified to justice silence. Yeah. Dizzy said, are you a criminal defense lawyer? No, I'm not. I'm not a criminal defense lawyer. Spark68, I've just reviewed enough of these complaints. Well, I've reviewed so many complaints in my legal, career here, and also before, after, that this stuff is I know it. I see it, going through so many complaints, especially copyright. We've covered copyright in this channel for the past 4 years since I'm almost started. We've covered copyright, so I'm very familiar with these suits. Klein and Piker and the Orbiters are squabbling like unsupervised toddlers fighting over toys in the sandbox, and they just won't stop talking, which is just digging themselves in deeper. Zadrex says, you're an amazing human if you can read audiobooks. Certainly great. Okay, no, yeah, I listen to audiobooks. Okay, thank you for you know what, I got a clip for you. Hold on. Here we go.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
There we go. I'll let the anime girl say it for me. All right. Details. All right, back to the nightmare on Denham Street. Okay, back to the nightmare on Denham Street. All right. We're relying on you to stay live, so we don't have to give the nuke views. Yeah, I'm going to stream it since he's confirmed it's coming out today. I'm going to stream it. Denham's prior to reacting to content nuke Hasan Piker. So you start strong. He started with an engaging title, Nightmare on Denham Street, and a engaging quote, which goes right to the heart of it and really is the most damning piece of evidence. So he's putting at the beginning of the complaint, up front, the most damning evidence against Denham's. That's the way to do it. That's correct. You start with something really strong that that the judge can't disagree with. It's like in sales. You start getting people to say yes. That's sales psychology. And it works in general psychology. If you start by asking someone to do something small, like, hey, can I borrow a pen? Or, hey, can you get me a glass of water? You continually ask them to do other things and agree with you until they're agreeing with you on things that are more extreme. That's basic psychology. So it works in writing as well. And this is what they're doing here, which is smart, which is clever, which is good. And yeah, it's effective. Well, guys, if you enjoyed not giving any views to that terrible video, give me a follow, subscribe, and throw a prime if you like my content. So this is once again going to the heart of it. It's strong evidence that is saying directly, we are siphoning views. We are using ourselves as a substitute by not giving any views to that video. Big oof. These two are the best pieces of evidence that he has. And then we're going to go from there. Okay. This lawsuit is about ending the practice of lazy reaction videos that copy entire copyrighted works and purposely siphon revenue away from the original. Let's start with this first sentence. It's really important to break it down. If this first sentence was just this, I would have a problem with it more than this, right? This is ambiguous. Lazy reaction videos that copy entire copyrighted works. That is something that could be legal or could be illegal. It could be okay to have a reaction video that someone else calls lazy, but is actually legally sufficient. So lazy is subjective. It's a wide open standard. So what is a lazy video? Some people have called like reacting, like putting on a documentary and like reacting to it, talking to it, and putting on points and say, oh, that's kind of lazy. What's lazy is subjective. So I don't like that. But they added the other part to it. They added purposefully siphon views and revenue away from the original. So when the judges are looking at this, they're saying, oh, we're not ruling on just whether you can react, because that's kind of gray area. It's react plus. Do that. And remember, he's even made it better for reaction streamers. So reaction streamers, he said entire copyrighted works. So in this case, the judges could rule in favor of Ethan, and you could still view a part of the video and it would be okay as long as you don't review the entire video. So the precedent could be limited to only people that watch all of the content and explicitly siphon views. So there's two ways to limit that down, to make that more narrow. And I think those are reasonable ways, and I think they're legally enforceable, and I think those would be an objective standard. It has to be the entire video, and it has to be purposefully siphoning views. Those are very objective standards. Entire video, purposely siphon views. I can agree with that. I don't have a problem with that legal standard. I think that's fine. That's fine. Real quick here, I'll get some of the larger ones. I'll go in the course of large size and small. Ona HX says, her saying my content will cause her even bigger issues defending this, right? Yes. Since it's claiming as her own work. That along with her asking for financial support in the forms of subs and primes, exactly. It shows deflected revenue, which is literally a damage. She's literally saying, I damaged him. She's spelling it out. You could not be more stupid and make the case more easy for Ethan if you tried. It really is a layup. Lauren S. 9532 says, big thanks for always bringing God content. My pleasure, Lauren. Appreciate you. Appreciate for you for always being a great and very sweet follower. Nisantic for 5 says, regarding motivation for lawsuits, does the law eventually push back against lawfare and vexatious litigation? SLAP seems to consider motives. Yes. And by the way, if you watch the Fast Facts that comes out after, Hasan Piker made a really stupid comment about vexatious litigants. And I'm not going to spoil the whole thing. I'll just give you a little teaser, a little bit of teaser for the Fast Facts, right? Hasan doesn't know what vexatious means. Vexatious means there's no merit. None of these lawsuits have no merit. They're not meritless. Meritless means they're like a ridiculous made up cause of action. No, even Hasan himself admits that the copyright law is in the favor of Ethan. And SLAP does not apply because this is copyright, not defamation. Copyright does not consider SLAP. And I may have misspoke on this in the past because people were confusing defamation and copyright, but let me make it very clear. SLAP does not apply here because this is copyright, right? So good point there. Thomas IGL 7298 says, if Ethan were to win at least one of his cases, would the impact streamers, YouTubers as a whole, or only US creators? It would impact everybody, but who's on a major platform, because most of them are American platforms. However, I think US streamers most affected. Yeah, for sure. KS says, could all three defendants use the same lawyer? They could if they wanted to. Rose Gold Cinnamon says, Andrew, after you mentioned the legal writing entertainment, I looked up Onion Amicus Brief. I have done that one before. It's great. It's great. BBPC says, it took me a while, but in the images, Denim actually has a sign that says Denim Street as well. Oof, what? How silly. How silly. Darth Torlin, what's up, brother? Great parody content for Somali. Says anyone that'll do crime should also do the time, regardless of how famous and rich they are. Everyone should follow the rules of the land, regardless of your social media status. I enjoy hearing everyone's thoughts and, and opinions on reaction. Awesome. Well, welcome and thank you for that, Darth Toyland. Go check out his channel. Great content. Orn18181 says for 200 Thai bot. Song Roy says, seeing as they mentioned reacting to the entire video, since they didn't technically react to the entire video when they got up in the chair and left the room, because in fact case, no, they did. They reacted the entire video even when they weren't reacting. So it impacts the fact they viewed the entire video. F23 says, Tectone said he wants to sue Denims for defamation, but couldn't find lawyers to follow through. Why is that? He's not looking hard enough. If Techie wants help, I'll help Techie. If Techie wants to hit me up, Techie, DM me, bro. I'll find you a lawyer. We can get you a defamation lawyer. If Tectone needs help, Tectone, call me. Maybe, call me maybe. Shadowization for 10 Swiss francs says, now I'm wondering whether it would in that case be all right to react to the entirety of the video in several parts. You watch half of it. Then I don't know, fail army and watch afterwards the second half. Well, once again, I think judges would look at that comprehensively. Taylor for 5 says, I never knew you were the channel until lawsuit. Oh, well, welcome. Yet another reason to thank Ethan. All this entertainment and now awesome new channel. Well, welcome. And everyone who's here, please smash a like button. Make sure you subscribe, ding the notifications. I appreciate that. Also said here, I think you may have said this twice. Tectone has positive case against Denims, but as expressed difficulty to find lawyers. I will help him if he needs help. Top Gamer Eli says, FYI, you average more viewers than all three of these defendants, and they've been in the game since 2012. Keep it up, Baseman. Thank you. Smash a like button. Obviously, we've been killing it on this channel and building it up with coverage of Somali and everything else. I'm so glad to be building it. We're going to hit 300K in the next month or two, I think. We're going to blast past 300K by my birthday. August is my birthday. Let's try to blast past it by August. We got Somali trial coming up, a bunch of other good stuff. And I'm going to try to cover all the big cases on the interwebs going here on out in the most objective, entertaining, and educational fashion. All right, back to the lawsuit so we're not here all night. Over 7 years ago, the owners of plaintiff Ted Entertainment, Ethan, and Gila Klein established the legal standard for fair use in Hosadiah versus Klein. So this is very fun fact about the Kleins. They have been involved in copyright lawsuits. So what this means is they have lawyers that are experienced here. So while the Kleins have a major advantage, both in money and experienced lawyers, now Denims, Frogan, and Caseytron, they might be out there getting the Saul Goodmans of the copyright law world. We have no idea. They may have to get the strip mall lawyer because, frankly, I don't think they're going to have enough money for the white glove, top tier New York law firms or California law firms that are at the top tier of their game. I just don't think so. I think they're going to end up with some guys who may have a mismatched blazer and pants in the courtroom. Who knows? But when you cite your own cases, this is going to be interesting. As a genre, reaction videos vary widely in terms of purpose, structure, and extent to which they potentially rely on copyrighted material. Reaction videos like the Klein video that intersperse short segments of another's work with criticism and commentary constitute fair use. I agree with this. Short segments are okay. In contrast, reaction videos are more akin to a group viewing session, and they do not. I generally would agree. However, I think some videos which add value are transformative. So if you are commenting on a 30-minute video and you add 30 minutes of commentary, I think that is clearly sufficient in my mind, or an hour of commentary. Typically for me, whenever I review a video or review a clip, I tend to add 2 times to 3 times more commentary. I've counted than the length of the video. So if I'm reacting to a 30-minute video, it's going to be at least 30 minutes, maybe an hour of commentary if I'm going through the whole thing, which is why I don't like to do that very often because it really lags. It really goes long. This involves the group viewing session hosted by defendant Alexandra Marwood Saber, aka Denims. Denims specifically identified her group viewing session to siphon views and revenue away from the copyrighted work. The Content Nuke and the H3H3 Show 105 Countdown to Doomsday, collectively the work. So, by the way, he's suing for 2 videos. So that's very important fact here. Denims timed her group viewing sessions to coincide with the exact moment that he released the works. This is also deadly. This one is also deadly. The fact that she did it live. She didn't even wait. She did it live. If she had waited and done it the next day or done it 2 days after, Denims would have a better argument. But she didn't wait because these people are impatient idiots. They have no idea about the law. They have no idea about anything. And doing things like that, doing things live, and was perfect. It really put her in the worst possible legal position. She's screwed. And once again, never 100%, but we're approaching, I think, upper 70s, 80s, 90s in the presidential chance. I would even say right now, before I read any more of this, at this point, I'm leaning on the 90s percent for side of Ethan, legally speaking, not personally speaking, legally. Her timing was intended to capitalize on the intense public interest in the works and siphon the maximum amount of views and revenue away from the works to herself by showing the works in their entirety, or nearly their entirety. The moderators of the H3 Snark subreddit, the H3 Snark mods, heavily promoted Denims. Now, these guys should be, as you would say in French, shitting their pants. These people should be very, very concerned, because I think these mods were speaking very freely in their DMs and their messages, etc., other places, and all of that is subject to discovery. And all these DMs and messages and emails between these moderators being subject to discovery, which means Ethan Klein is going to get them, and ultimately we the people, we the public, are probably going to get to see some of those. That is going to be gold to see the conversations that they had and the intent behind them. Because these people weren't careful in their emails and DMs. These people were malicious. These people were, I guarantee you, I don't need to see them to know this. I guarantee you they were, which is going to be killer. And I think this is going to change the culture of a lot of these subreddits and other communities that now realize, hey, we're fully open and exposed here, both legally and in terms of what we did. It's not private. People think these messages and things are private, and they're not. Hal Janin says, just got up on 3x speed. You sound really slow now. That's funny. The cable guy said, had to study copyright law when getting entertainment management. Cool. I imagine it'll be hard for them to find a decent lawyer against Klein just because how tight Klein's case. Exactly. It really is. And it's going to be difficult, but they'll find a lawyer. Look, lawyers will do things for money. We will do a lot of things for money. But that aside, they'll find a lawyer. Now, are they going to find the best lawyer? I don't think they can pay for the best lawyer. And I don't think, even the best lawyer can only do so much. In fact, the best lawyer for them, and here's a tip. Here's me helping out Denims. In fact, I'll go full screen for this. Denims, Frogy Yogi, Casey. Listen up, girls, ladies. Sean the Black, too. You too, Sean. I don't know what you identify as. Whatever you identify as, Sean. Let's throw you in there with the ladies. Listen, the best lawyer that you guys can find, listen up, the best lawyer you can find is the lawyer that's good at settlements. You need to find a lawyer that's a good negotiator, and you need to calm Ethan down and settle with him. If you settle with him, maybe you can save your ass and save yourself some embarrassment and get some of these things dropped. Maybe if you guys come out and settle with him, that's the easiest way. Settlement is always easy. Settle with him quick. It will save you so much time, money, and public embarrassment, because otherwise you're going to have law tubers like myself and all of the people on the internet covering this for the next years, and you are going to get smoked. It's not going to look good. Your underwear, and I mean that legally, is going to be dragged through the streets. This is going to be like that episode of Game of Thrones with the shame episode with Cersei. That's going to be what's going to happen legally. You don't want that. You don't want the dirty laundry out there. Settle. That's the real advice. Look, I helped you. Look, there's some throwing a bone. Gemini Don, gifted one legal mindset membership. Daniel says, some of you have a legal mindset. Some confuse me with legal, but too many of us will always remain a legal hero. Thank you for your hard work. First live chat. Hey, welcome. Thank you. I am nothing like legal, but thank you. Max 39 to do for 2,000 yen. Thank you. Looking forward to my Japan trip. Can Reddit reject disclosing information like Apple does with? They can try, but they're going to lose that one. They can try. They can attempt to. They can attempt to. They will not succeed. They will not succeed. CMM says, watching you live is weird. I usually watch your videos after the fact at 1.75 speed. Thank you for the great videos. Always entertaining. Thank you. And thank you for everybody who's gifted here. Frolet says, thoughts on calling Asmongold as an expert witness would be hilarious. I don't think so, but they could try. It would be interesting, but I don't know whether that would be something that the court would ultimately allow or authorize. Falcon Shields says, CPS call and box crossed a line though. I don't know what you're talking about. 8N says, can you talk about Section 230 protection and what happens to Twitch? That's kind of separate and off topic. That's whole separate, but I will do that on a separate stream. So I do promise I'll bring it up on a separate stream. Parents Collins says, I pay to watch a Tiny Tim versus Scrooge. Casual Boomer says, in regards to Reddit mods getting roped into the lawsuit, do you think this will kick the door liability for Reddit's entire rotten core? It's possible. Tuxedo says, I just want Hasan to fight Sam Hyde. I mean, we all have things we want to see, right? We all have things we want to see. The Ghost of Kiev taking his swings. Pasha F902 says, this was personal because the Snark Reddit called CPS on him and his wife, and Denham's promoted to do it to one of the streams. Well, once again, I said, I didn't know about that drama. So once again, I focused on the legal stuff. So I literally didn't know about this. So you guys are now educating me. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if that's the motivation. It's legally irrelevant. And that's what I want, people to understand here is that personal motivation can be as petty as they want. It can be completely petty, but it doesn't matter. Ninja Kitty 72 says, why is there a difference between watching this content as large in-person group versus over the internet? There is a difference because here's what's happening. If you are another creator that is watching content, you're going to siphon revenue. If you got together in a room, and let's say I had a party in my room, and there's like 10 people here, and we all watched it on my channel, like I have my YouTube channel, we watched it, right? We're still watching Ethan's video. He's getting revenue off that. Now, he could be getting revenue off 10, and there's an argument that he has, he can make against me, but practically he's never going to find out. Practically, Ethan would never know if I had 30 people or 50 people in my apartment and we all watched the content nuke. Now, technically, there's an argument that that's, against the rules. That's against copyright. We're not going to go there. But practically, he will never know. Like, he doesn't have a camera in my apartment in Thailand or, when I'm traveling in a hotel room in Japan, right? If I have a party in my Tokyo hotel room and watch the content nuke, he'll never know, practically. But he will know when another creator does it and we see the views and we see the revenue. That's the problem. That's the problem. Micro Dunce, thank you for the $4.99. We'll get two more, and then we got to keep moving. Pacha said, can Ethan technically go after Twitch as well? Since they've been broke their own TOS by not doing anything to them, the suit is also to get the names of the Snark Redditors that they called CPS, Denham's on stream. So yes, it will also get that. It will get the names. Now, once again, I think going after Twitch would be awesome, but I think Twitch is going to do everything in their power to stay out of this. And Twitch will try to file a motion. If they were trying to add Twitch, Twitch is going to oppose this with every ounce of their power. And I think Twitch, unless there's good evidence added in, Twitch will probably be able to stay out of it for now. Maybe later, we'll see. But for now, I can't tell you objectively that there's a good case against Twitch, even though I think that'd be interesting, even though I want it, because that would be good for the watching and the views, right? Moldy Pretzel says $10 reduce. Hello from down under. Crikey. I'm glad there's happy Aussies. I ran into an Aussie that was like, I don't like Americans. You guys are horrible. I'm like, okay, I love you guys. I love Australia. You guys are cool. Hypnotic in Rapture 1298 says, if these four evil people lose the case, will Twitch, Reddit, and Hasan open themselves to lawsuits to Nux, Tectone, Zach? Should those pitch money together to come after them, Andrew? Well, no, I think that the people that are plaintiffs can find lawyers that can take it on contingency, but the thing is, it's not a lot of those people like Tectone, Nux, and them. They have defamation lawsuits. This is copyright. So that's a different thing. So I think a lot of those folks are thinking about defamation, not copyright. Luckless for $4.99. Thank you. A little joke here. Marshall Jed Cooper said, should the fingers go in the judge or Ethan's mouth? That's a joke to the not true fact that if you put a finger in a Korean judge's mouth, the case is dropped. That is not true. That's a Johnny Somali content joke to break people in. All right, let's continue. As a direct result, Denim's viewing sessions peaked at approximately 45,000 concurrent views. Holy smokes. While the previous stream accomplished only 33,000. Well, we're beating Denim's right now, but 45,000 concurrent viewers. I mean, we got almost 9,000, 8,500, 8,600 now, but damn, that's a lot. Denim's greatly profited from her group viewing sessions of the works through advertising, revenue, donations. So what this is clear damages. So what they've established is the damages are not ambiguous. And this is required for all claims, particularly for copyright. The damages cannot be ambiguous. They have to be specifiable. They have to be able to know what amount of money was lost. And you can look, because we have analytics for every video. For all my videos, I can go to the analytics tab and I can see exactly how much revenue that brought in. Same thing for Denim's video. We can find out exactly how much money that has. So all of that can be taken away with a Thanos-like snap by the court. Like most lazy reaction videos, Denim's peppers her group viewing sessions with brief and sporadic observations, which can be characterized as follows. Most frequently, Denim's will watch long, unadulterated portions of the works and briefly pause to give a short surface level and repetitive observation that provides little to no new information, new aesthetics, or new insights on the works. So here's what he's doing right. He's using a citation from a case. So he's not inventing new case law. He's saying, literally, look at this case about the Andy Warhol Foundation versus Goldsmith, which is a very famous case. And this is a standard. If you provide no new information, new aesthetics, new insights, or new understanding, that is not transformative. Other times, Denim's contract has little, no critical bearing on style or substance. Same case. Rather, she goes off on tangents regarding unrelated subjects or shadow boxes. I like this word. This is a good one. Once again, good language. Shadow boxes, demonstrably false representations on the content. Okay. A rare occasion. Now, once again, shadow boxing could be criticism. So this is something I will give a little bone here. So making what's called a straw man. So a straw man is making like the weakest version of someone's argument. That's actually okay. You can straw man people's arguments. You can also steel man them, which is making the best possible case. I usually try to steel man the other side. I try to give them the best possible option. In this case, I am actually giving them the real steel man. I mean, I wasn't kidding when I said their best option is to settle. That is genuinely the truth. It is genuinely the truth. Settle, please. But for you, but not for me. I mean, I don't want you to settle, but you should, right? But you can shadow box. And if all you did was an hour of straw manning, that would be commentary, but you need to add enough. Paskey said, thank you so much for the information in law, which actually helps civilization stay civil somewhat. Thank you. Arista Nova 7004 says, as far as I know, these are the three separate cases. If the defendants consolidate and pool resources in the same user council, wouldn't that be a technical admission of guilt? No. So good question, but that is not true. So first of all, they probably won't. They really can't pool the single case. What they could do is they could probably hire the same lawyer. So they could all have the same lawyer defending them. That is possible. But once again, they cannot group the cases all together because they're different videos that are infringing. And there are different statements by each of them that lead to their strength. Proxy said, love fast facts, but the outro music for fast facts sounds like the intro to a P-Hub video. Well, thank you, I guess. Skyforge says, going back to her comments, how much do works do if she says that she was making a dark humor joke? Like, is she not able to make dark humor jokes depending on if? No, it's not a joke. She literally says, like, she says, let's go back up. She says, we don't have to give it views. There's no if in there. Also here, if you enjoyed. So the if is modifying the word enjoyed. So this is an English lesson. Okay, English lesson. It's if you enjoyed, right? But not giving any views is not if. That's the factual part. So the factual part is that they did not give any views to that terrible video. The if is whether or not you enjoyed it. So she's saying if you enjoyed it, follow, subscribe. But the fact is, anybody who watched her video did not give a view to the terrible video. So the if here is not modifying the fact. But good question. You know what? Once again, I don't get mad at questions, guys. And I like being challenged. Please feel free on my channel. Like, I want to make it clear, everybody, I don't mind being challenged. And if you guys can bring up a good argument, please do it. Please super chat it. I'm okay with that. I'm cool with that. I don't get mad at that. And I appreciate your questions. And you're not, it's not a bad question. Once again, it's not a bad question. Also, I'll get this last one. Luckless, if they find a settlement lawyer, does Ethan have to settle? If not, I hope he will, due to purely the harassment he and his family and staff have. So here's the thing. A good settlement lawyer will say, this is what they would do. I'll tell you what they'll do. I'll give a hint. Actually, I'm going to give away some real, this is some real gold here. In fact, Denims Frogan and Casey Tron, you guys should pay me for this. You guys should send me right now a super thanks for this. You owe me super thanks for this. I want to see it on this video. You better leave a super thanks, all of you, on this video, because I'm giving you some free advice here. Non-legal legal advice. Non-legal. Because, I'm not their personal lawyer. So, but here's what they would do. Here's what I would do. What I would do is this. I would say, as a settlement lawyer, because Ethan does not have to settle. He can say no. But I will say this. And here's how you do it. Here's how we do it, guys. Here's how we do it, chat. You say, I'm going to rat out, like a jailhouse snitch, I'm going to rat out the people that called CPS, and I'm going to give you their names and all their information so you can pursue them, because you really want them, right? You really want them. We're going to give up their heads. We're going to sacrifice them to the corn. We're going to put them out there in the wood chipper, all of them, if you drop this against us. We'll do that for you privately. So no one sees it. It's going to be private, off the books. We're going to slide their heads to you, but you got to drop it against us. And I think that's the real sauce. And I think that they might actually want to settle if they did that. That's the sauce. Don't tell anybody. I know there's 9,000 of you in here right now, but we're not going to tell anybody, right? We're not going to go anywhere on the internet and send that. We're not going to, that's not going to get clipped out by anybody, right? Nobody's going to clip that. Nobody's going to react to that. Nobody's going to say anything about that, right? That's going to be our secret, right? Just us in this chat, right? We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to post on Reddit. We're not going to put it on Discord. We're not going to put it in Twitter. It's going to be, there's no way that's clipped. There's no way this gets clipped. It's impossible. Clippers don't do that at all. I love you guys. I love you guys, chat. Phil Coggins says your comment about making these people unlikable. I feel that is exactly what Ethan is doing, almost to the point of poisoning the well to come down on the other side of the orbiters. I mean, once again, I don't have a dog in the fight, but if you think Ethan is that unlikable, it's possible. Once again, if Ethan really becomes unlikable, he could piss off the jury. But I don't think he's completely gone there. That's my personal opinion, but I don't think he's 100% Darth Vader now character, or the Emperor, right? Darth Vader has a redemption arc, but the Emperor is just evil, right? Nothing like Eagle is the understatement of the year. Loving the videos. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think Legal Eagle's a weeb either. Only Waifu VT for 500 Argentina says Saul Goodman here. Evil genius strat. Lol, love this guy. Thank you. Tycoon Aki says fair use defense also plays burden of proof, proving lack of market displacement on the defendant raising it. Exactly. Great one. Seuss versus comics. Yes. Good luck with arguing against their own statements of intent. In fact, because they stated their intent, it shifts the burden. Yes, thank you. Alpire Ava says, it's been a year. Well, gosh darn pumpernickel. Ain't that the bee's knees? These three absolutely deserve what they're getting. The stated intent is more than enough for me. I agree. Garrett says, best part of that is first come, first served. Cynical says, that was pure gold. Thank you, guys. Smash a like button if you like that. Do not clip, but if you do, make it transformative. What if one of those three were the ones that did the call to action for calling CPS, or was it actual callers? Offer that one up to the corn. Once again, these orbiters. Look, I'm going to tell you something about YouTube and Twitch. There's no real loyalty. There's some people that are loyal, but most people are not loyal in this game. Most content creators are absolute snakes that will stab you in the back at the moment's notice. They are not real friends. They are internet friends. If they can get a little bit of clout, and certainly if they can get a little bit of money, they will drive that dagger in as far as it goes. And so I think that's why that's the strategy, because there's no loyalty. I'm just going to say it. These hoes ain't loyal. These hoes ain't loyal. And I will see it. It's true. And that's why I think it's the best strategy. Ragged says, means the Kleins were sent 2 real human skulls. What? What? That's crazy. A conscious expression says, case trials approach role. Thoughts on her ability to defend based on her parent. She's not the one who defends. Her lawyer is the defender. I think Casey Tron's problem is she can't shut up. She keeps talking. And when you're being sued, shut up. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just being real. Like, stop talking about your lawsuit. Just say, hey, we're going to work on that. Donate here and stop. Mark Real says, happy Saturday, Andrew. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Amity Annika says, you snake. That's right. That's right. Marcine Wazak says, can she plea insanity? Sorry, legal. Ban him from the chat. Sicky says, what are the chances deleted H3 Snark DMs or Discord messages since Jan 30 can be recovered? Oh, they can be recovered easily and lead to sanctions easily. Discord and Reddit have done that before. It's easy. They think they're deleted. They're not deleted, right? They're still out there. They're still discoverable. So anybody who's out there trying to delete right now or like mass delete, that's not going to work. Will a judge allow them to be televised? That'd be interesting. No, though, because it's federal court. So no. Gemini Miller says sometimes the legal docs starts with "here comes" and something along those lines. What is the reasoning behind this? Oh no, that's old school, and it's not legally necessary. And sometimes it might be procedurally required. Maybe you have like an old school jurisdiction in the middle of the countryside in Kansas that requires stuff like that. But no, if they don't say it by using their history, would these cases be solid? Asking for the future, they continue to not self-snitch. It wouldn't be as solid. No. Illyria says, comparison to us not wanting to give Somali views, there's a difference lie in the fact that his content is criminal. And no, beyond that, I'm only covering a small portion of Johnny Somali streams. I have never, ever reviewed an entire 8-hour Johnny Somali stream. Never. I've only focused on the small snippets where he's committing a crime. And I've talked about the law on it, which is educational, clearly. And there's clear case precedent, particularly for legal education, that what I am saying is transformative because I am educating you on the law or the policy or whatever else, or Korea, as it relates to Johnny Somali committing crimes. Good question. Very good question. Anthony says, how is the best looking base lawyer doing today? I'm fine. I'm happy to be back home in Bangkok after a long vacation, a 6-day vacation. Gemini Dawn is a new member. Thank you. Have you seen the clip of Ethan verbally granting license for people to repost? I imagine something defense. No, I have watched it. He did not say that. He did not say that. That's being misquoted out of context. He said something more limited, and he never gave full permission for reaction type content. If you watch the whole thing, he never gave permission for reaction content that watches this whole video. That's not something. Go back, watch the whole thing. I watched it. It's not what he says. And even if he did, by the way, it wouldn't change anything. Michelle O'Kaz says, does the clip for Ethan thanking Denims and Frogan for reacting and saying he couldn't have asked for better promo not matter? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that he's gloating. No. Nightway says, if Ethan wins, do you really think Twitch will do something against their favorite streamers? They may have to. They may not have a choice. All right, one more here. Petra says, what happens if H3 found out who called CPS? Would that be a criminal charge? It could be. Oh, also, Hasan said LawTubers are pro Ethan. Watch my Fast Facts video coming out in 45 minutes. Speaking of 45 minutes, guys, I've got to get through this. We got to at least get through one. So we're getting through this one first. Let's continue here. We got to finish one. All right. All right. So on the rare occasions that that Denims does provide brief commentary or style or substance of the works, she spreads misinformation that is refuted later by the works themselves or by most cursory level of research. On rare occasions, when she actually shows the factual basis for her claims, her statements are refuted by the cited source itself. Such misinformation fails to serve copyright's goal of enriching public knowledge. So this is a point, but this is a weaker point. So this is why he made this his C point. It's not a bullshit. It's not bad, but it's not A or B. His A point is really strong. B point is very strong too. This one, it's got some power, but it's not. Let's see what his D point is. Finally, Denims will even do an empty chair reaction where she goes off camera for an extended period of time while letting the video play to keep her audience entertained. So this is the weakest one out of A, B, C, D because there's no specific citation. There's no specific legal citation that says empty chair reacts are illegal. Now there may be after this one, but there's no specific site. So legally it's the weakest. So literally you have your A tier argument, B tier, C tier, D tier. Isn't that cool how that works out? And Denims, Denims may even fail the D tier. Let's just say it that way. The poverty. I like this. Once again, good writing, entertaining writing. The poverty of Denim's commentary, coupled with her highly commercial use of the works that she specifically intended to serve as a substitute for the originals, fails to justify copying the TEI's works in their entirety. Rather, Denim's group viewing session is a quintessential example of copyright infringement, i.e. the unauthorized exploitation of TEI's works to get the attention and avoid the drudgery in working up something fresh. This lawsuit is to hold Denims accountable for her infringement and the H3 snark Marlet's accountable for materially contributing to her infringement. This is a very strong intro, very engaging, lots of good words, clear to the point, tells you what you need to, not too long, very convincing, A+ intro. I like the intro. The intro's good. The intro's very, very good. So far, legally, I like the Denims intro. Let's get into the stuff. Now, we're going to probably skim some stuff here. Obviously, jurisdiction, it's under the Copyright Act. It's under federal court. So once again, no cameras in federal court in California. And the venue is obviously the Central Court in California. So TEI is a California corporation based in LA, which it produces on YouTube. Denims is an online streamer who releases content on Twitch and resides in Van Nuys. Shout out to Van Nuys, California. I've been there a time or two and not back in the last 15 years, but yeah, sure. The H3 Snark mods are comprised of DOs 1 through 10. Their true names and exact nations are not presently known. So they are going to become known. The mods are all going to become known. This is where they should be really, really scared. So also in the chat, someone says, isn't this doxing? This is a publicly available document, right? A publicly available court filing, right? So no, the answer is no. Okay. Let me go here. Do1 is female, the founder of the Reddit and one of the Snark mods. She used to go under the Reddit name Ozempic Dealer, while Do1 subsequently deleted. Her last post was in February 25. Do1 used the Discord handle Yogi Bearx and the screen name Paris Hilton. Do2 is a female, resides in Canada, and head of the moderators. She is under the uname H3 Snark Mod Team 2, Roman P, and Right Salamander, and uses the name Do number 2. And then she's got all these other names, such as Kitchen Mukbang Star. Interesting. Do number 3 is another head mod, and he goes by the name Sarah Horn Jewitz, which has been publicly deleted after deleting Do number 3 using a Reddit username Jewitz Sarah Horn, or Jewitz Sarah Horn. Number 5 is on Discord as Roz Whalem, and number 5 is a male by the name of Tony. In Discord, he's from Pooh. And Do number 6 is H3 Snark mod. No reception. And Do 7 through 8 are the remaining H3 mods. So they don't have the full information on those yet, but they will have those. Jingard says, could any potential settlement go beyond the amount in the videos made on other streams? Yes, it could. Settlements can be for any amount. Any amount. Jay says, I'm so reacted to your fast facts. Oh, it's going to be good. Oh, it's going to be good. And I use a different color suit too. I filmed it before this, but a different color suit. Show me, I'm impressed you dressed up so professionally for the live. I always do. I always wear a suit. Thanks for the content. My pleasure. My pleasure. Deviant says, always teaching us to be your own judge. Yeah, and make up your own decisions. You don't have to listen to me. Oops, sorry, I asked the same question twice. That's fine. Calzone said, what would happen if one of them wins? Would the other two get dismissed? No. No, all of them are independent cases, and they can win or lose independently. Okay, background. TEI was founded in 2016 by Ethan and Hila Klein. The Kleins rose to prominence on YouTube for through channels H3H3 and Ethan and Hila. The Kleins created highly stylized reaction videos to other YouTube videos. The Kleins' reaction videos are interspersed with relatively short segments of original video and long segments of commentary. So what they are doing is saying our commentary is legit and it's different than your commentary. So the Kleins in a inception level are using their own case law that they created on YouTube, using their own case law in a new lawsuit to create new case law. This is legal inception, which makes it fascinating to me. In 2016, the Kleins were sued for copyright infringement. So now they're citing their own case. Again, crazy. Kleins were sued for copyright infringement, defamation, misrepresentation under 17 USC 512 by Matt Hosandaya, aka the Bold Guy, Matt Haas. The copyright claim concerned a reaction uploaded to Ethan and Hila. The video entitled The Big, the Bold, the Beautiful was critical and humorous reaction to Matt's video, Bold Guys versus Parkour Girl. As the court explained, the Klein video opens with commentary and discussion between Ethan and Hila Klein, followed by segments of the Haas video, which then play, stop, and continue to comment and criticize. The Klein video, which is almost 14 minutes long, intersperses relatively short segments of the Haas video with long segments of commentary, ultimately using 3 minutes and 50 seconds of the 5 minute and 24 second long Haas video. The Klein video is harshly critical of the Haas video and it involves mockery of the performance and what the Kleins consider unrealistic dialogue and plotline. So there's a lot of fair use elements in there. In addition, defendant's commentary refers to the Haas video as quasi-pornographic and reminiscent of cringe tube genre, also known for cringeworthy sexual content. As critical as it is, the Klein video is roughly equivalent to the kind of commentary and criticism of a creative work that might occur in a film studies class. So they're saying clearly fair use because there's already case law on film studies class. The court granted summary judgment for the Kleins. So summary judgment, just so you guys understand, educational moment here, guys. Legal Mindset educating you. The procedure in a court generally goes in a civil case, motion to dismiss. That's whether or not there's a meritorious claim. So does the claim have merit? That's first. If it's vexatious, which is the big word Hasan used, which he doesn't understand, then it gets thrown out at motion to dismiss. Spoiler, this won't. So motion to dismiss, discovery, summary judgment, then trial, and then the final verdict and ruling, right? So summary judgment is before trial. And if you have a just open and shut case, you're just going to win. It's clear. Summary judgment will end it before trial. So if you are a defendant, it is very good to try to go for summary judgment and win because you never have to go to trial. You just win outright. And plaintiffs can go for summary judgment too if you have an open and shut case. And summary judgment isn't ruled on by the jury. It's ruled on by the judge. So I know there was a super chat earlier saying, is a judge or a jury going to rule on this? Well, they demand a jury trial. However, a judge could grant summary judgment for the Kleins. And this is a case where I think there is a good possibility the Kleins could get summary judgment. It could be so obvious that the Kleins get summary judgment. They don't even need a trial because it's such a killer case. So this is where I think they really got to sweat. The jury might not even save them. Just instant, boom, summary judgment. You're done. You're done. That would be awesome. Also, big super chat. Thank you for the big one. Alice Che says, hi, Mr. Esquire. Can't say to finish watching you, and I can't catch you live for Cabbage Smiley, but I want to say, I wanted to show you some love. Thank you so much. Kopun Kap. Says, always entertaining to watch you cover anything from my home country. Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm over here in Thailand. I'm loving to bring this to you, and bring you guys all over the world. Suda, Rage of the Bahamut. Speaking of Twitch having possibly to do something with these women lose, are they able to pick and choose other TOS effects like Tectone being banned and Denim's calling him a rapist and getting a punishment? That's a separate thing, guys. Let's not confuse those. So I'm willing to talk about that separately on a separate video. The TOS stuff is separate. It's not necessarily linked here. We can get into that. And if Techie and the others want to try to get together a good case against Twitch, they should talk to the right lawyers. I think a clever lawyer could do it, right? Now, I can't do it. I'm not living in the U.S. to do this stuff for them. But there's lawyers out there in the U.S. that'll do it for them. They exist. They do exist. They're not unicorns. All right, let's keep going. The TEI established the H3 podcast channel on YouTube. And TEI produced podcast episodes that were less structured reaction than the reaction videos the Kleins previously made. To ensure that any use of unlicensed copyright qualified as fair use, TI formulated and refined best practices, which included, whenever feasible, pre-screening the original work and outlining criticism and commentary before. 2, ensuring the commentary was directly related to the style and substance of the original work. 3, only broadcasting the portion of the original that is subject to critique. Very good. Not the entire thing. 4, pausing the original work frequently to provide critique. And 5, ensuring the duration of commentary was substantially longer than the portion of the original show immediately before. So I don't think you need to do all of those things, but that's what we would call belt and suspenders. Belt and suspenders in the legal world is when you do over and above to protect yourself. Your pants aren't going to fall down if you're properly wearing a belt and suspenders. The pants are going to stay up. You're never going to be caught with your pants down. But I think if you just do one of those things, that can often be enough. So for example, if you're just looking at a small part of the content, not the whole thing, that might be enough. And you're providing at least a baseline level of analysis. That probably is enough. That probably is enough. I'm going to read a couple of these. Sid says, can't throw a rock in my family without finding someone with an August birthday. What can I say? It gets very cold in Michigan during the holidays. Oof. That's true. That's true. Artemis says your PP is 2 times longer than the original. No PP today. I'm PP-less. Marshall Jet Cooper says they say do as seen, but post a small original link. Are you talking about copyright or whatever else? But in case you're wondering, some of the links and stuff here are just citations. So just understand that. Let's see here. Noman says, can we speed this up a bit? The VTuber debut of Saba is happening. I'm going as fast as I can. You'll get back to your horse gotcha games later. Defiant says that was the most epic warning I've ever seen. Thank you. Thank you. All right. And then we had one last one I wanted to get. Here you go. GLP for 99 says, I've litigated copyright suits in Central District. Oh, awesome. Cool. There'd be no winners, no guarantee of fees under Section 505. Affirmative defense beyond fair use. Read through NIMR and PATI consolidation is also possible. Cool. I will read through that. Cool. I will read through those cases. Thank you for the suggestion. Always appreciate that. Once again, it's great to have specialists. You always want to look at specialists who can bring it in. I'm more of a generalist, but I love when we get specialists that we can talk to and conference with and kind of get to that. So if you're a specialist in copyright, you reach out to me, shoot me an email, andrewesquirelive@gmail.com. Let's talk. Let's chat. Add me on Twitter. Let's have a conversation. Erwin Wright says, if this case settles, can this case still be used as case law? No. If it doesn't, maybe that's a reason to see it through. No, but what'll happen is if it settles, it'll be used as an example of where these people were forced to settle. So if this settles, other people might be forced to settle. Capiche? Rafa says, do the Stark Metas face their own cases, or do they have to defend themselves 3x each? Could the case pit the streamers against the mods? Well, they could hire one lawyer. The mods could all hire a lawyer. And they could all have the same lawyer if they wanted to. So I think that's how it goes. Taco World says, dressed up. Does that mean suit up tops and boxers below with the cameras can't see? It's sweatpants. I'll have you know it's sweatpants. I have dignity, good sir. Let's continue. Denims. The alt-left's answer to Kelly and Com. By the way, this is how not cool I am. I don't know that alt-left is a thing. I don't know about these drama and names and politics and stuff. I'm so out of it. I didn't even know alt-left is a thing. So yeah, that shows how I'm just not. I focus on the law. So I just don't know these things. Okay, let's continue. Denim LARPs as a revolutionary LARP. I love live action role play. And the fact they had to special that out, but LARPing is just so funny. LARPing is so funny. As a revolutionary from the comfort of her bedroom in California, I will say, okay, should I make a political comment? should I say this? It's probably going to get me some salt here, but I do find a little bit of irony with if you've got $1 million house and you're talking about income inequality. But anyways, she is a prolific purveyor of misinformation and speaks with great confidence on topics where her knowledge leaves much to be desired. Denims repeatedly inserts herself into public controversies by employing poor judgment, knee-jerk contrarianism, and a consistent impulse to defend the indefensible. Includes copyright infringement, terrorism, and extremism. And once again, I don't want to get into the truth of this and whatever, like side comments aside, like, I don't care what she supports or whatever else. I'm focusing on the law. Denims is one of the most loyal and ardent defenders of Hasan Piker, aka Hasan Abi Hasan. So obviously, we can see who's Big Daddy. Big Daddy is Hasan. He is the, oh gosh, he is like the Jim Jones. He's the Jim Jones here. And it's like going after the cultists, not the cult leader, right? By the way, people brought up the thing, champagne socialist. Yes, it's always it's kind of funny. The champagne socialism is funny to me. It's like a laugh thing. It's a giggle thing. Much like Scientologists engage in fair game, I like the comparison to Scientology. Denims ruthlessly attacks with reckless abandon anyone who disagrees with her or Hasan. She parrots Hasan's style, rhetoric, and content strategy, regularly streaming React content with minimal transformative or commentary. As such, she has assumed a leading role in Hasan's waiting room, a collection of streamers who culturally follow Hasan and parasitically leech off his audience by streaming before him or after him. On November 17, 2023, in a now deleted video, Denims read Osama bin Laden's letter to America in its entirety on stream. She frequently expressed agreement and support for the letter, such as America deserved 9/11. I can't disavow facts, man. I can't disavow reality. That's not how works. That's not how that works, bro. Yeah, that's a hell of a look. That's a hell of a look. I'll just say that. Denims, reading for the letter. Why do they attack us in New York and Washington? If Ariel Sharon is a man of peace in the eyes of George Bush, then we are also a man of peace. America does not understand the language or manner of manners and principles. So we are addressing it using a language it understands. Denims responds, he is not wrong about that. The U.S. only understands violence. Bin Laden's criticisms of the United States are all correct. Interesting that I'm sure a judge and jury are going to love that. Despite Twitch's prohibition on terrorist propaganda, Twitch gave Denims a slap on the wrist by banning her for a day. By the way, while this stuff may not be all legally relevant, once again, judges and juries are humans and they have human emotions. And these things definitely lean on those switches, right? They definitely lean on that. And while they may be irrelevant, the judge may or maybe not that relevant to the copyright part yet, they're very relevant to painting a character. It's not a good look because people are human reading this. This is not robots, right? On December 12th, 2022, Denims responded to the December 8th, 2020 video of June Nicole Lempine, aka Shoe on Head. Shoe sided, which criticized Balenciaga's advertising campaign that depicted minors and highly sexualized BDSM. Rather than acknowledge the widespread concern, Denims took the absurdly grotesque position of defending Balenciaga's ad campaign and attempting to paint Shoe on Head as a homophobe, despite Shoe on Head not mentioning homosexuality, whatever. So a lot of citations. Denims' involvement in the public controversy known as ReactGate provides great insight into her willful disregard for copyright. In early 2022, Hasan and Denims, along with several other Twitch streamers, received intense criticism for conducting group viewing sessions of third-party copyrighted content without permission. In these group viewing sessions, streamers like Hasan and Denims would watch entire copyrighted work with little to no commentary, sometimes even letting the video play while they were not present or while the streamer was sleeping. The controversy reached a fever pitch when these group viewing sessions included mainstream TV and this is where you FAFO. For those that I'm not going to spell it out because I've already said enough naughty words on the stream, but FAFO. When you start messing with film, Hollywood has the lawyers to come for you. And this is where you go too far, right? And this is where you get in trouble. when you start messing with people with money. And they mess with the Kleins who have money, which is where they messed up, right? The online content creator known as JXC released a video entitled Hasan Piker Jinx in the issue of reaction content. In the video, Jay drew a distinction between reaction videos that provide substantial critique and lazy reaction videos that are group viewing sessions. In particular, Jay focused on the group viewing sessions, including his poverty of commentary and penchant for doing an empty chair reaction, where he lets the video play while he's completely off screen. That's insane. His chair is failure. It's fair to credit the author of the original video and link. This is also crazy. Even to verbally, like at least verbally say, go watch the video on this channel. At least verbally say that. Because, I mean, you should. You should verbally say that at a minimum. I don't always agree you have to post the link, because imagine if you watch like a million clips, it always is hard to post all the links. I don't think you always have to post a link. However, you should verbally give a shout out. Like, hey, shout out, go watch them on this channel. Like, at least say it verbally at minimum. I think it's a minimum. Also, Kitsu says, I wanted to super chat to ask about the chance of summary judgment, but you just answered. Thank you for your work. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm glad I caught that one for you. Dan Saltman says, question on the legal defense, GoFundMe's. I've been under the impression that since GFMs have been directly made to fund the creators because of their infringement, they would see revenue in the verdict that the clients can claim. It's possible. Because remember, a lot of people end up using these things and abusing these things. So there are many GoFundMe's. In fact, there's one right now that's really big where it appears that they may have funneled off $1 million or $500,000 in funds for things that are not legal. So they had a legal like GoFundMe or whatever, and they've been siphoning off money. Not these three, but another case, many people use these funds for personal stuff. So they end up blowing them on, trips. They'll go on a trip to Japan or a trip to Gaza, right? Because they're apparently joking about that. Yeah, crazy. So yeah, it's possible there could be issues. But here's the other thing. That GoFundMe information, the legal defense stuff, that could be discoverable as well. A lot of financial information becomes discoverable. So a lot of stuff could become discoverable. Salvage Bar says, what if the defendants are proverbial turnips? The proverbial judgment-proof defendant without savings, property, wages, and assets, how would that affect the settlement? Well, what would affect, like I said, they would say give up the other people or give up information on somebody he wants to go after with deep pockets like Hasan. Like Hasan has money. Let's take away Hasan's, Gucci bag or whatever, like make him sell his clothing line, whatever. Right. There's other people behind them they could give up or give away. So there's a point to selling them. Also, just to establish case law. So if the case law is established, this kills lazy reaction streams. Also, welcome as a member, Dan Saltman. LS is 3616 says, if the case goes forward, could Ethan ask the court to live stream it and do so? No, it's federal court. They will not agree to that. Federal court will not agree to that. Robot for 20 says, XEK suit chilled successful law tubers with something to lose. IK, FKR, and debt trials, grift earnings to pay out, streaming any trials currently, only small channels, no money from debt, stream trials this week. Yeah, no, it's really interesting. It's really interesting. I do my thing, though. Other law tubers do things their way. We each have our own style. But apparently I'm doing something right because I got 9,200 people watching me. So I guess it ain't too bad, right? In a now deleted response video, Denham's defended the unauthorized use of copyrighted content by asserting that viewers prefer watching streamers over original uploads, particularly when the material is curated. She claimed that established fair use standards are irrelevant to live streaming and need not be transformative for commentary and editing. Now, this is going to really piss off the judge, because to say that fair use is irrelevant is completely irrelevant, and that live streaming and Twitch content is immune from fair use is going to come off as pure effing hubris. It is pure hubris to think that live streamers are immune from criticism, and that because you are a live streamer, the law suddenly doesn't apply to you. You are absolutely insane And that point will never be accepted by the court. The court will never accept that fair use does not apply to streaming. That's insane. Now, what they might say is that if live streamers do X, Y, Z, they can get out of it. They can, there's an exception here, but they're not going to say live streaming point blank is immune. That's crazy. That is insane. And the fact that she said that shows she's a complete, that statement is pure idiocy and has no basis in the law or really even rationality. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yes, 9.4K watching. This is obviously a major issue. Obviously, I'm doing everything wrong and should delete my channel. And if you guys believe that, please smash the like button and like the video. Oh, by the way, Bowtie, congrats on the LSAT 164. Awesome. Cool. All right, let's keep going. Rather, Denham's claim to be a streamer's personality alone can justify unauthorized rebroadcast of the copyright. So saying your personality, so Denham's and her unique personality is so special. Denham's is such a unicorn. She is such a unicorn, ladies and gentlemen, that the law doesn't apply to her. And I know that on Twitch this word is banned, but I'm going to say it. I know some of her simps are going to agree with this. And I saw some of her simps are going to say, yes, queen, Denham's is above all. She's princess butterfly of the universe, and she can do whatever she wants. But in the reality, not the simp verse, that is not real. Personality does not get you out of fair use. I said the S word. Now I'm banned from Twitch. All right. I said the S word. I know. Kretosis, 10 legal mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Also had to move back the fast facts because we gotta get through a little bit more of this. And I'm look at how much commentary. Look at how much commentary I'm putting on this complaint. On February 6, 2025, Denham's and JXE conducted a debate about the propriety of group viewing sessions that was moderated by the online content creator Chud Logic. The debate video, Chud Logic shout out. During the debate, Denham's made several damning statements about her personal perception on the unauthorized use of copyright content. Most notably, she said early in the debate that she acknowledges she used third-party content as filler and siphons views away from the original. So she admits that she's infringing. I just want to be clear on my opinion on like filler content and stuff. Like, I think filler content, you shouldn't do it. I know I do it as a React streamer. So she's confessing to the crime. She's literally self-reporting. And I do it only with Vox videos or Vice videos and stuff like that, because I'm not like directly ripping from one content creator like a whole team. And most of those videos have 5 million views. I only get like 500 viewers. Like, I'm not even going to be taking I'm taking maybe 50 views from that video. It's a lot harder to feel, bad about that. So her argument is, I'm just a small creator, so they don't apply to me. No, that's not what's happening here. What's happening is they haven't found you, Denham's, because to a large channel, your theft, you are a piss ant legally, financially to them. You are nothing to them because you're so small. They could sue you. They would win, but you're nothing to them. You are absolute nothing to them. You do not matter, Denham's. So, but just because you don't matter doesn't mean what you did isn't illegal. Just because someone doesn't catch you speeding doesn't mean speeding isn't illegal. Just because you drive drunk and you don't get caught on a country back road doesn't mean it's suddenly legal. I don't know if you guys get, I don't know if she gets that. Shortly thereafter, Denham's accepts her own bias and says, maybe I'm coping because as a reactor, when I have the content, oh yes, this is indeed coping. And I think after this review, she might be seething a little bit too, which is why that's our outro video. Coping and seething. Also, only waifu, thanks for the 10 legal mindset memberships. Very much appreciate that. Also, Spider Bro says almost a year with the long PP law, man. Thank you. Unreal Turnip says, do you think Dan Saltman is fair and based? So far. Spider says, is the EFAP arc against Denims and Hasan epic? Yeah, it's this is going to be a new arc. Val says Ethan is going to love this commentary. I wonder how much he'll watch. He's going to have to get his editor to kind of go through this because obviously I've got a lot of comments and a lot of good stuff. But Ethan, baby, Ethan, I give you permission, legal mindset, to react to this whole video except for the intro and outro. You got to cut the intro and outro out just to show me, just to give me a little bit of love here. So it's not the whole thing because my intros are epic. I don't want you to copy that, Ethan. If you cut out the intro and outro, you can react to the whole video. I give you permission. Legal mindset, special permission. And actually, too, here even, I'll be fair, because people are going to claim bias. Hasan Piker. Hasan, baby. You can react to the whole video except for the intro and outro. I'm watching you. Got to cut out the intro and outro. But otherwise, you can react to the whole video. I give you my permission. I give you my blessing. Same for everybody else. Asmund Gold, Tech Tone. I'm going to do the whole thing. Do it. Except for the intro and outro. We don't touch the intro and outro. All right. Now that we had that conversation, now that daddy's told the kids, let's continue. Later in the debate, Denim set forth her theory to justify a group viewing session of the third-party content. The Twitch streamers are curators that provide a communal experience of watching content with their audience who do not want to take time to find YouTube content of their own. That's lazy. That's lazy as hell. And it's not hard to find the content. You know, I'm sure if you click on a random part of the video, not be saying anything, sure, whatever. I might like walk away from the screen, but it's about like the communal thing. It's not about the actual show. So they're literally saying it's about the group theft and not about the actual substance. Oh boy, that's bad. And it's like, it's the same reason you watch shows with your friends. You want to watch with other people. It's not, this is not like going to a Game of Thrones watch party. I think when it comes to streamers on Twitch, a lot of people are going to go watch streamers on Twitch for their React content as a curator. So they don't actually want to go through YouTube and watch a bunch of videos. Once again, as a substitute. And they probably will never will go through YouTube and click a bunch of videos. They're like going to Twitch because they like to have it as this streamer is curating fun content and want to watch it. This is once again Denims. This is all Denims is saying. All these are horrible arguments. These are horrible arguments that all go to her being a bad faith creator. This is all bad. I think that people who are watching content on Twitch, curated Twitch content on Twitch, aren't necessarily people that would be watching content on YouTube. So a lot of these arguments boil down to the fact that Twitch lets people get away with murder. And just because Twitch is a very unfair mistress that does enforce their rules unequally and does not enforce what should be enforced in terms of protections as rigorously as it should be, doesn't mean it's the right thing. It's like just because there's two cops, right? YouTube is the cop that paid attention and got top marks at the academy, right? So YouTube is the top cop. They're the one that catches all the criminals. Number B, Twitch is the fat, drunk, lazy cop who only has the position because his dad is the mayor and he needed a job. And he stays in his car watching Hasan Piker videos all day while huffing donuts, right? That's Twitch. That's YouTube, right? That's a comparison there, right? That doesn't mean the laws change because a cop is not good at enforcing the law. Just because a cop sucks, the law doesn't change. They're Paul Blart. Yeah, they're Paul Blart, right? Just because there's a Paul Blart doesn't change the law. Well, he's a mall cop, though, so Paul Blart, whatever. You get what I'm saying, guys. You get what I'm saying. Also, Frostbite says, so if we get together with friends and steal groceries for someone who's too lazy to go to the market, then it's legal. They're so cooked. Yeah, exactly. It's these horrible arguments. Like How stupid are they to come up with the arguments? Also, Alfonji, welcome as a new member. Let me get a couple of these here. King Buck says, much love from Brooklyn. You're the best legal mindset. Thank you for that. Lord Farm says, crazy. Frogan looks exactly like her name suggests. Kind of an oof on that one. Sketch Therapy says, if guilty, would Twitch take action and ban infringers? I think they'd have to at a certain point. I think that there is a certain point in which Twitch has to take action. Elite says, daddy tier subscription when? That's going to have to come soon. It's going to come soon. Law daddy. Let's continue. All right. A lot of the time, the reason that they go and watch React streamers is because they don't want to have to do the effort of going and scrolling through YouTube and clicking on recommends. They're literally saying it's because they're lazy. Oh, by the way, hold on. I'm going to call out Ethan. I found an Ethan Klein error. Ethan Klein's case is cooked. I found an error. Guys, look at this. They forgot to close the quotation marks. See how this one closes the quotations? They forgot to close the quotation marks. They are cooked. Motion to dismiss based on improper quotation marks. Big L. Ethan, that's it, guys. Ethan Klein loses. His lawyers suck. They're fired. They forgot quotation marks. It's over for Ethan Klein. That's it, guys. We're going to wrap it up right here. It's been nice. That's been the case. We forgot those quotation marks. There's been some good players in this game. We got some good hits in there. But quotation marks, GG, it's over, baby. It's over. We're dismissed. The lawyers are disbarred. It's all over. Go home, guys. It was nice. It was nice seeing you. Let's play the outro here. Hold on. We got the Somali outro for you.
Are you guys enjoying the stream today?
Done here. We're done. No, I'm kidding. It happens all the time. Typos are very common. I make so many typos in my PowerPoints. It's ungodly. So no fault there. Little humor. Robert says that watching with friends is a comparison is weird. It's more like watching a match in a pub and the pub needs to pay. Exactly. There's a public license for that. You have to go out and get a public display license to show something in a pub. Ohana said, Runkle, my good friend Ian Runkle, the Bailey shot to him. He did a review. I think Uncivil Law did too. Made a good point that these mods will be involved in 3 different lawsuits. Not one, they're done. Not necessarily, but they should invest in a good lawyer. Yeah. Spark says, does the legal precedent require published judgment? No. There needs to be a judgment, right? And there needs to be a decision, right? If they settle, that will not do it. Jordan said, for 5 Canadian, from Gina Carano to Rittenhouse to Depp, Disney fraud, Niji Sanji, Ricada, and more. What a crazy journey. Can't wait to see where it goes. Guys, make sure to subscribe. We are not at the end of our internet journey. We're going to have a long journey ahead. So hang on. Assassin Eclipse says, my tab crashed immediately after that outro. Crazy. Also, why do these guys remind me of the guys attack Rima? I don't know. Let's see. Almost 2 hours in, we're only at page 11. This is very transformative. I told you guys, I am full of commentary. And so much so I have to push back my own streams, my own fast facts to 11. All right. 11 my time. All right, let's continue. The people who watch Twitch content are specifically there because they don't want to scroll through YouTube. Denimans ultimately concedes that when a viewer watches content curated by a Twitch streamer, it serves as a substitute. Once again, that's it. That's the killer. There's no point of watching something a second time. You already watched it. Maybe like you're going to watch it with some other people or something, or it's been a long time, or you might rewatch the video. But once you watch the video in one place, it's unlikely you're going to watch it again, meaning it's a substitute. She says again, if you watch someone's content in someone else's stream, there's a low likelihood you're going to watch it separately. So once again, substitute is an element. So here's background on H3 Snark. So let's just skim then. Obviously, it's H3 is a subreddit. It's like a lot of fallen fans. Many of them are banned, blah, blah, blah. So this is background on H3 Snark. So let's see. Let's get down to some relevant stuff. They're talking about the Kleins being dual Israeli-American citizens, right? With Hilla being in the IDF. And then talking about them being supportive of Palestinian self-determination, but critical of Israel and the government. They support a 2-state solution as an interim. Once again, not going to... The 2-state solution, the IDF, none of this is relevant to the case being decided. Some citations here. talking about Hasan and al-Husseini and working with Nazis and advocating for annihilation of Jews. Once again, not legally relevant, but a little bit of background. Kind of a picture with a certain Austrian painter, mustache man. Once again, interesting, not relevant legally, right? Also, this is really not relevant legally. Himmler and al-Husseini here. These quotes, not really legally relevant, but obviously, kind of spicy. Let's continue down here. Okay, rampant copyright infringement. Okay, so getting past all that good stuff. Only Waifu says, could Ethan do anything against Bad Empanada making these horrible baseless claims against his home, which caused the CPS call? I don't know about exactly the details, so I'm going to have to get more into that. So how about this? I'll tell you what. I'll look more into the CPS stuff, and that might be a separate thing with the CPS stuff. So let me go brick by brick here. Brick by brick here. But thank you for that. Thank you for that. Also, Todia says, Ethan is cooked due to spelling error. No, I'm dying. I know. Newcomers, as a reminder, don't spam in the chat and no all caps. Have a 5. Thank you. Tashiki says, hey, legal. Do lawyers get the cut of the case for winning? They can. Only the payment. It depends on how they arrange it. If they're contingency, they get a cut. Otherwise, they don't. Good question. All right. Let's continue. Despite their hatred towards the Kleins, users of the H3 Snark Reddit have an insatiable appetite for their content. These Snark users, however, did not want TI to receive any views or advertising revenue for their consumption of TI's content. As a result, H3 Snark has become a locus of copyright infringement of TI content as detailed below. One method the H3 Snark minutes employed to consume TI content was to share links to TI content on YouTube, a website which provides unrestricted access to YouTube videos and public performance of them, which constitutes copyright infringement. So they're using technology which enables them better to infringe. That doesn't look good either. YouTube has a particular appeal to the Snark Reddits and H3 Snark users because a video watched on YouTube does not result in a view or advertising revenue of the original on YouTube. H3 Snark mods conducted live chats during TEI's live broadcast. During live chats, the H3 Snark minutes would spam the chat with YouTube links of the broadcast. Once the live stream ended, they concealed the evidence of their infringement by deleting the logs, but they can get those logs. Below are true and correct screenshots of the mods spamming the live chat. So this right here is pretty damning. So you've got the screenshots, got the screenshots. Doe encourage, so that's one of the mods, encourage users to use YouTube as an alternative to watching TEI's video on the official channel by commenting on certain posts. The comments were then wiped. Due to Doe's efforts, the user was anointed as a mod. So obviously not good. We encourage folks to watch on YouTube so it doesn't play ads and contribute. So once again, going to substitution right there. They created a post to that effect right here. And they have tools, tips, and guides. And they hide their inducement by deleting the portion of members-only content from their guide. A true and correct screenshot regarding members-only content is below. So showing that they were even stealing members-only content, which is a paywall, right? TI issues takedown notices for infringing posts and comments on H3 Snark. TI began to fight back against copyright infringement on H3 Snark by issuing takedown notices, which went to 17 USC Section 512. TI was extremely surgical about which H3 Snark posts would be subject to DMCA takedowns, relying on the most pertinent fair use decisions. TI issued DMCA takedowns for only posts and comments on the entire episode, particularly paywalled content. Comments that provided YouTube link to the entire episodes and TI content, or posts that contain a clip of TI content with descriptive, non-critical title and comments that were locked by the H3 Snark mods, and there were no comments after several hours. August 1st, 2024, DMCA takedown. On August 1st, TCI issued a DMCA takedown for H3 Snark entitled H3 Live Show Beyond the Scenes. The post contained a complete version of TEI's video, which was members-only content. On August 2nd, 2024, Reddit honored this DMCA takedown. On August 30th, TEI issued a DMCA takedown for the comment by Doe number 3. And that's also there. December 18th, TEI issued a DMCA takedown for the H3 Snark Reddit entitled Ethan and Dan confirm that posting to Snark will get you banned. The post solely comprised of a clip from the TEI video Ethan debates anti-Semitic Sneeko fan. The post contained no comments because HCI mods locked the Reddit. So once again, this is all stuff they're trying to hide, right? More takedowns. So we'll just go past that because it's just listing more takedowns, more DMCA takedowns. So we can kind of skip that. So they issued a lot of takedowns. That's the spoiler there. And takedowns are a process. So the DMCA is a Digital Millennium Copyright Act. So that's a process by which you take down infringing video. So they had to do that a lot. That's the TLDR there. The H3 Snark mods efforts to issue fraudulent counter notifications. H3 Snark mods made a concerted effort to find fraudulent counter notifications to DMCA takedowns. So the counter notifications are when you can fight back. So Reddit informed that there would be a so-called counter notice issued against the August takedown. So they issued that one. And the counter notice failed because it failed to include their address and telephone number. That's a big one. Consent to jurisdiction and a statement made under a penalty of perjury. So they didn't do a proper counter notice. So that's one big thing. That's one big thing is that you have to and pretty much dox yourself or give the information of your lawyer when you do a counter notification. So you can give your lawyer's information or dox yourself. So one thing people often do that are kind of trolly is they try to DMCA you to get your docs, which is fucked up, but that's what happens. That's what happens. It is also evident the first fraudulent counter notice was issued by the H3 Snark mods because, as we stated, we are writing to contest the removal of 2 posts from our subreddit under alleged copyright claims. We believe these reports may have been filed by fans rather than the legitimate copyright holder. So these are once again failing. So the counter notices are failing. The counter notice failed again because the law is wrong. So a lot of these counter notices are failing, and they also failed fair use. So these are once again failed attempts by H3 Snark when they were trying to repost information. So let's go down here. So now we have other conduct that involves concealing unlawful behavior. First, deleting posts after Ethan announced legal action. Now, this is a big problem, and the posts are obviously archived. There's going to be places on the internet to find them, and also Reddit themselves is going to have those documents. So, yeah, that's not going to work out very much. They also abuse the live chat feature on Reddit to promote harassment and defamatory statements, including promoting some of the egregious offenders into H3 mods. They use sock puppet accounts to conceal their identity. Once again, not necessarily illegal, but just shows deceptive behavior. And also last, they purposely lied about the takedowns to conceal copyright information and to obfuscate, meaning hide, big word. So for the Hasans out there who might not know how to properly use big words, obfuscate means hide, buddy. It means hide. Their intent to siphon views and ad revenue away from the TEI. TEI creates and registers the nuke. By the fall of 2024, Ethan and Gila's concern reached a fever pitch over Hasan radicalizing his audience with propaganda from Ansar Allah, the Houthis, Hezbollah, and the Hamas. That's a hell of a lot of H's in there. There's only one H that's missing from that, and that's the Austrian painter. The Kleins were equally concerned with Twitter's refusal to enforce its community guidelines against Hasan and his so-called waiting room. Other Twitch streamers like Denims who parrot Hasan and parasitically leech off his audience by broadcasting immediately or after his streams. Hasan and his waiting room hijacked the necessary and important discussion of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in the Gaza war. They employed rhetoric that painted Israelis as subhuman, blah, blah, blah. So once again, content, the fact that this is about the Gaza war doesn't matter. What is the content. Like, what did they do with the content? And that is the content nuke. What did they do with the content nuke? Well, the content nuke was obviously a video on Hasan. And let's see here. The deposit copy, the one they filed with the Copyright Office, was received on January 28th. The deposit copy varied slightly, so it doesn't have the conclusion or the sponsors, but otherwise it's the same. Other than to prevent the nuke being age restricted, they blurred out footage of the Houthis. So the Houthis were blurred, and there were minor visual edits. Ultimately, all the deposit copy was incorporated in the broadcast. So the deposit copy is more than the broadcast version, except for the sponsors in the conclusion, right? Okay, the nuke is we know what the nuke is, right? So we all know the nuke. It's about Hasan, right? So we're not going to go over what the nuke is. We know what the nuke is, right? There's a bunch of segments in it, right? And it's about Hasan, and it's kind of roasting Hasan and going over all that good stuff. So this whole is explaining all of what the nuke is. I don't need to explain the nuke to you. You guys can just go watch the nuke and see what the nuke is and see for yourself. And this is a lot of the value here. So I'm going to skip this part because it legally doesn't matter what the nuke is, but the nuke is a very long video. I have watched parts of it. I haven't watched all of it, but it's a very long video. It's a very long video. So he details all of it. And then he details the copyright, the countdown episode. So he says, okay, here's what the countdown episode is, right? So they also made a live broadcast immediately before. So that's kind of like what I do with my videos. I do my live streams right before I do my fast facts, my premieres. So it dumps into it because that works better. So Ethan Klein is using the good tactic, the same tactic I use. So good move, Ethan. Good move. Not that you don't know about YouTube, because clearly Ethan knows better about YouTube than me. He's doing better than me. But I'm doing pretty good. I mean, 9,000 live viewers is pretty good. But Ethan's doing a little better. A little better. So TI made a big broadcast leading up to the nuke. After TI discovered Denim's infringed on the countdown episode, it registered the countdown episode with the Copyright Office. So both were registered. So the H3 Snark promotes Denim as a substitute. So literally, the H3 Snark Reddit tells on Denims and increases the legal case against that. By the way, Links, I want to make this clear. As an LM and Hasan fan, I'm not opposing. I may be teasing Hasan a bit, and if you want to go into some of that, watch my Fast Facts video. It's because Hasan has made some statements which are incorrect, and in a very polite way. I'm trying to, in fun way, a teasing way, a mocking way. You educate people. So I'm educating Hasan here. It's nothing personal. I don't have, whatever. People can like or hate Hasan. People can do whatever they want with Hasan. You can watch Hasan all you want. In fact, if Hasan fans are watching, you're not banned from my chat because you're a Hasan viewer, whatever viewer, or Denim's viewer, Frogan viewer, right? But I'm not going to lie to you about the law. I'm not going to tell you the law is one way and it's not. Right? I'm going to tell you the law, not what helps your feelings or helps you feel better. Yeah. Yeah. Just behave. That's all we ask. Just behave. Right? Let's continue. Hasan Snark Mods knew there was a huge demand to watch the nuke through unauthorized channels and promote group viewing sessions of the nuke. So that's, once again, the group viewing sessions, real problem. Posting about that, a real problem. And here's detailing the posts and all the posts they made, inducing people. So now they're going to have the law of fair use and reaction videos. Okay, so we're getting into the law. Let's do this. Fair use is codified in Section 107 of the Copyright Act. The statute sets forth 4 non-exclusive factors. So guys, this is it. This is the beef. These are the factors. So pay attention. These are the factors. The purpose and character of the use, including whether such use is of commercial nature or is nonprofit and educational. So these are clearly commercial and they're making money. Now, being commercial doesn't necessarily make it illegal. Next, the nature of the work. What type of thing are they doing? Is it parody? Is it comedy? What is the type of the work? What is that doing? Right? Right? Third, the amount and substantiality of the portion used in relation to the copyrighted work as a whole, and the effect and use upon the provincial market for and value of the copyrighted work. So the market. So if it is a substitute, that factor is going to be failed. Also, the amount. So the whole thing. So if the whole thing is used, that's not good. The first fair use factors relates to the problem of substitution, whether the new work supersedes or supplants the original. In this case, ladies and gentlemen, yes or no, is this intended to supplant the original? The answer is clearly, like without a shadow of a doubt to me, the answer is yes. This is meant clearly to replace the original. The central question is, does it add something new with further purpose and character? The mere fact that the secondary use has some purpose is not enough. It has to have a further purpose and meaning and a different character, a matter of degree, and the difference must be weighed against other considerations like commercialism. So you have to take the fact that they're making money on this into impact as to the amount of commentary. When you weigh those, how does it come out? And this doesn't look good for Little Miss Denims. Doug Diaz for 10. Thank you so much. Tecton mentioned that he DM'd you about a lawyer next. Oh, cool. So we'll get into that. If Techie did, I'll get back to him eventually. I'm a very busy man, but I will get back to the egg. Elizabeth for 129 Czech Krona says, I'm not a Hasan fan, but Andrew, please implore everyone to do their own research, not blindly trust what Ethan claims. No, and once again, I don't, let me say this on full screen. I am not taking a side here in your opinion, personal opinions on Hasan or Ethan. I don't give a shit. You can like them, you can hate them, you can be apathetic about them. I don't care. I care about the law. You can do your own research on all of the substantive stuff in the content nuke. You can think that the content nuke is complete bullshit, or you can love it. It doesn't matter. The law is not going to change regardless of how you feel about the content nuke. You can feel the content nuke is total trash and it's terrible, but it doesn't change anything. Christopher Tillery says, another sad issue is that Denims believes the lawsuit is also being done to her because she's a woman, implying it's sexist, sad defense, no accountability. And I already did a video on that. Big Buddha says 40 pages down, 40 days to go. I'm moving fast. We're moving faster. 38 to go. Tank Imperator said, probably dumb question. H3 has been very vocal about wanting to financially hurt, ruin Denims for the lawsuit, mostly for the CPS call. Can that be used against him as vexatious litigant? No, that word is not, that did not mean, vexatious does not necessarily mean, oh, your personal bias. It means you have no merit to the claim. If you have merit to the claim, it can be for a personal reason, even if it's for that. Can I send a link to Denims? Yes, I saw a clip saying she won't settle. Go ahead. Send the clip. In fact, why don't you do this? Do Denims a favor. Do Denims a favor here, guys. Clip my stream giving her advice on how to settle and send that to your girl. Send that to your girl. Clip it out and tag her. Because she can be lazy. And by the way, Denims girl, relax my clip. Relax the whole thing. Once again, the whole thing, except for the beginning and the end. So the beginning, I won't copyright claim you, girl. I won't do it. I won't do you like Ethan did. All right. City Tiger says, never heard you cuss before. I'm trying not to. I'm doing real hard not to. Also, Tata says, could you review Farms versus Ricade for body cam? No. That's a dying subject now. Let's see. I noticed notified Tectone. He'll get in touch. Cool. All right. Let's continue here. While the use has a further purpose, and by the way, guys, like Green World, can you answer my further one? I will get to all of them at the end. So I'm just answering a couple as we go. Sorry, there's 43. We'll get to all of them. While a use that has further purpose or different character is said to be transformative, transformativeness is a matter of degree. Indeed, an overbroad concept of transformative use, and one that includes any further purpose or a different character, would narrow the copyright owner's exclusive right to create derivative works. To preserve that right, the degree of transformation required to make transformative use an original must go beyond that required to qualify as a derivative. The first factor also relates to the justification for both use, both in a broad sense and narrow sense. A use that justified in the broad sense if if it has a distinct purpose and that furthers the goal of the copyright, namely to promote the progress of science and arts without diminishing the incentive to create. A use is justified in the narrower sense when it is reasonably necessary to achieve the user's new purpose. Such justification is particularly relevant to assessing fair use. The wide dissemination of the secondary work would run the risk of substitution. So once again, the court is concerned about substitution. A critical book review illustrates how a secondary use must be justified. In the broad sense, the use of the original serves a different purpose than the book. Each quoted passage of the review likely serves a different purpose, an object of criticism, than does the book. Critically, this may not always be so. A court must consider each within the whole to see whether the copying is fair. Even book reviews are not entitled to presumption of fairness. So nothing is safe. Once again, copyright is a case-by-case analysis. Any lawyer that tells you they can 100% predict how a fair use case is going to come out is full of baloney, okay? Because nobody knows. It's always case-by-case. But you can usually say, which side did the scales tip on? Yeah. Let's continue. Well, when the commentary has no critical bearing on the substance or style of the original, to claim fairness in borrowing from another's work diminishes, right? And other factors like commerciality loom large. So how many people watched? How much money did they make? That's the balancing. The balance is the fair use side by, okay, how were they profiting on this? And if there's a lot of profit, there's a lot of weight to fight back. And Denims did have a lot of viewers. That's a lot of money. A defendant copies more than is necessary to facilitate comment or criticism. The law is clear. To be considered transformative criticism, the aspects of the work that reproduce another's protected expression must be in service of commentary on that work. It is not enough for part of the work to have transformative purpose. When the use of the copyrighted work is not consistently transformative, and for the clips are played without much interruption, if any, and used in excess of the benign purpose, that is a problem. The use of voiceovers and headlines and captions and wholesale copying sprinkled with written commentary fails to sufficiently transform. So just voiceovers aren't enough. Additionally, when copyrighted work is simply used to illustrate what a work already depicts, the infringer adds no purpose. The first fair use factor does not favor any user who wants to reach different buyers in different markets, consuming different products. So just because they're on Twitch instead of YouTube doesn't protect them. That is no protection. So being on Twitch versus YouTube or any other platform doesn't change anything. Commercialism examines the degree to which the new user exploits it for commercial gain, as opposed to incidental use as part of commercial enterprise. When it is motivated by profit, further, if the defendant is not advertising a scholarly critique, but instead seeks to profit, at least in part, from the inherent entertainment value of the original, the use is commercial. Commercial means bad. Commercial means not allowed. Finally, commercialism exists when a secondary user makes unauthorized use of a copyrighted material to capture significant revenues, as opposed to a direct consequence of the copying the original work. In Hasan, the court found the first fair use factor favored fair use because Klein's video was quintessential criticism and comment on the Haas video. So once again, proving the Klein, this is the high IQ move that Ethan's doing. He's proving, because he won a copyright case, he's proving that he knows copyright. He's using his own case law to prove he understands this. For instance, I dislike both sides, but I enjoy legal drama. Hey, potential criminal said, do you agree this is more about getting intelligence for their actions than it is about copyright? I think that's a main driver, Sean. So Sean, another good law tuber, yes. Also, Absent God said, don't listen to him. Don't settle. We're all getting the popcorn ready. That'd be funny. BV says, would it make sense for them to combine their case into a big one? Once again, they can try. Iron Sanchez says, settle. They don't even want to take back their lies. Too much pride. Also, wait, you listen to Warhammer approves. Go Trek Gurnison approves. Awesome. Can you go over copyright and IP when it relates to video games? Yes, on a different stream. On a different stream with a different topic. Tim Riggs says, wouldn't it be better to characterize this as a rebroadcast instead of group viewing? More like a rebroadcast. Yeah, that's fair. Pirate Skeleton says, what happens if a Discord discovery is so unhinged and prejudicial the defense successfully argues it? No. Just being unhinged will not get it suppressed. That's not what's going to happen. No, just being unhinged does not get something suppressed. What gets something suppressed is if there's information that is not able to be disclosed, like some sort of private information or confidential information. However, you can censor the information. You can, redact it before it's taken in. That's a good question, though. Also, can Denims pull a Somali and claim mental health? No, this is not criminal either, guys. Mental state doesn't go into play here. The Kleins were consistently transformative, so they're good. They're good beans when it comes to under the law. Second, the nature of the work. So this looks, is it creative? Is it creative? So the court found in the other Klein case that what the Kleins did was a creative work despite being published. The third factor said that the quantitative amount and qualitative value of the original work used in relation to the justification for the use. So how much are you using? When the amount used is substantial with relation to the infringing work, it is evidence to the value of the copyright work. Copying an entire work is against a finding of fair use. It militates, big word, against the finding of fair use. So meaning, if you copy an entire thing, it's not a good look. The new user only copies as much as necessary for his intended use. This factor will not weigh against the new user. That's in the Precedent case. In the Hosendaya case, the other Klein case, the Klein video copied a great deal of the Haas video, but that was necessary for comment and critique. The last is the undoubtedly most important factor, and that is whether the fair use is a substitutable purpose. While the first fair use factor considers whether and to what extent an original work and the secondary use have a substitutable purpose, the fourth factor focuses on actual or potential market substitution. So was this substituting the original in the actual market? And the answer to that, the most important of copyright questions, not according to me, legal mindset, according to the real law, it's Harper and Row, the 1985 massive copyright case. If you've taken copyright law, you know that case. Very important. What is it? Is it a substitute? The answer is yes, it is. They are in deep trouble. This is why they do not survive, or they get past the motion to dismiss and they get to discovery. I cannot see that not being a case. By the way, have you seen the clip of Ethan verbally granting license? No, that's not damning. I've seen it before. Dondo, 1 + 1 = 2. Should Casey Strong just offer to share a bong? I don't think that would work, but okay. Deleting messages deletes your access. That's it. Yep. If you're here in the chat, you have to drop a like. Shame. Thank you, Legal Mindset, for the great coverage. Ethan shouldn't settle just to improve the industry. He doesn't have to. Ethan does not have to settle at all. Visual Abstract says both things on the internet are soft deleted, labeled as deleted and unable when requested, but still archived in a database. That's very true about the internet. And that's the one truth of the internet that people should mind, that what they are doing is soft archived somewhere. Denims also plays other content or stream for an hour before starting the stream, which is not there. Oof, that's not good. QB says, Ethan Klein's lawyer sees the praise and goes, Sempoy noticed me. I call bull. You streamed in hoodies. That was way back in the day. It's been a while. Erwin says, if they're broke, can a settlement even be an option? Yes, you can settle for non-monetary things, or you can come up with a payment plan. It's fine. When Legal Mindset goes on a date, you give her a PP only if she's as nice as the chat. The B Night 3 says, what is your favorite popcorn or snack when you review these? I like, what do I like? I like a lot of things. Gosh, Thailand has such amazing snacks. There's like squid strips here that are pretty delicious. I also like, I'm a bit of a, I like the sour, gummy worms, like the Haribo sour. I like those, but yeah, good question. You know what's bad? When the factors look like a space flight checklist. That's pretty good. Once again, they're not doing good on any of the factors here, and that's what I'm really focusing on. Is they're failing. They're failing that. Let's continue. Denham's group viewing sessions failed to make a fair use of the copyright of the Countdown episode. It is readily apparent that the primary and overriding purpose of Denham's use of the Countdown episode was to commercially exploit a group viewing session of the Countdown episode to serve as a substitute. This is evidenced by watching long sections without any commentary for several minutes. In separate instances, she provides empty chair reactions. So she's off screen for a long time. In total, of the group viewing session was 1 hour and 3 minutes. During the group viewing session, Denham provided approximately 4 minutes of commentary, 43 seconds of partial commentary, and 2 minutes of unrelated and unintelligible content. So in simple terms, it was uninterrupted for 88% of the time. I have not watched the Denham's video, but that is absolutely cooked. The fact that there for only 10 minutes roughly, and we're not even less than 10. Are we going for less than 10? Less than 10 minutes. 88%, she's cooked. I mean, I now move my percentage for Denham's losing above 90% here. Denham's is oof, that's bad. By the way, Sean DeBlack's complaint is not out, so we have not reviewed it out. When it is out, we'll review it. When it has, we'll review it. I actually only promised to do Denham's today, so we may have to do Frogan or Casey Tron or Sean LeBlanc another day. You know what I'll do is I'll review those and see, what portions are worth while so we can go faster. Legally cooked, guys, legally cooked. Denham's also had a Countdown episode take up approximately 3/4 of the screen, while she occupies only approximately a quarter of the screen to de-emphasize her presence. Her objective was to provide a large, unobstructed view to her audience, with further emphasize her primary source was a substitute. Her use of the Countdown episode was clearly commercial. Not only did she receive paid subscriptions, donations, and advertising revenue, but she used the Countdown episode to advertise her group viewing session. So that's not good. She also added a statement on screen that was a countdown. She added a countdown timer and said, if you want to watch it, come and enjoy the watch party elsewhere, by encouraging people. So all of these factors, all of these things are going against Denham's. Let's continue here. As stated below, Denham's group viewing sessions of the nuke exemplifies her belief that about the copyright that she experienced during ReactGate. Her group viewing session of the nuke epitomizes her unfounded opinion that copyright infringement and fair use principles are inapplicable to live streaming. Her seriously deranged view, which is in no way based on the law, that live streamers are like Laffy Taffy, that they are immune from any part of copyright infringement. That is insane. They are not Laffy Taffy. They are not the Juggernaut. It's not happening. Number 2, her misguided notion that she is not obliged to transform a work with substantial editing and commentary. Her narcissism and misplaced sense of privilege that her personality is sufficient to justify highly commercial unauthorized exploitation. Yeah, that's the fact that she thinks that personality, that your magical personality of herself, not somebody else, her own magical personality is enough. No, darling. No, it is not. Her group viewing session was the pinnacle of her career. Imagine if people at the pinnacle of their career are taken out. Crazy, right? At its peak, Denham's group viewing session of Nuke received approximately 45,800. This is exponentially more than she received in her entire career. It put her career in overdrive. It gave her huge peak viewers. Her concurrent viewers peaked up. So here's her stats. her stats have gone up, right? It's readily apparent. So that's clear proof she profited. So she repeatedly says, we're relying on you to stay live so we don't give views. So it's a, not, you know, so we're not doing stuff to the giving views a dip. Yeah, I'm going to stream it. Since he confirmed it's coming out, we're going to stream it. So saying, come over here. So she puts out here, unfortunately, we're watching it, but we're not giving any views to that terrible video. We're acting as a substitute. And I appreciate you guys tuning in because I didn't want to watch that by myself. So acknowledging that she's doing it for substitution. There are probably a lot of people that came here to watch it because they wanted to see what someone who would disagree with it would say, but saying they came there to watch it instead of Ethan's side of video. Denham's attempt to feign ignorance that H3 Snark is transparently and comedically false. Rather, it is clear that Denham's and H3 Snark mods coordinated their efforts. Indeed, after ending their group viewing session, Denham's screen shows that she had the H3 Snark meta on her screen. Ooh! Denham's began her group viewing session on the nuke 1 minute after the nuke was released to the public. So there was no time. There was no time for them to go and watch it on Ethan's channel and then come to Denham's. It was the actual factual replacement. A lot of self-snitching here. On the 74 episodes, separate occasions, Denham's group viewing sessions consisted of watching the nuke for 30 seconds with no more commentary whatsoever. These excerpts comprise 70 minutes of the nuke, 70% of its runtime. 70%, guys. 70%. Insane. For the majority of her group viewing session, she speaks briefly after showing a long excerpt. The fact that the excerpts show the nuke frequently eclipse her statements emphasize the primary purpose was a substitute. I just can't believe that the she only commented for 30% of the nuke. She commented for 30% of the nuke. The nuke, like just playing it uninterrupted is 70%. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. By the way, guys, I am going over my time, and I know that, but this is the longest stream in a while, and I want to make sure I get through as much as I can. So please like the video, like this. I'm going over time. I'm even like having to like move back some like commitments I have here just to do this for you. So please like the video. I did this by popular request, and I do this because I love you guys, chat. But yeah, and I even have somebody who I'm supposed to meet right now who's watching my feed live because they see that I'm going to be late. So I love you guys, chat. Appreciate it. Please like the video. It helps out a lot. Appreciate it. I love you guys. I only do it because I love you. All right. Let's continue here. During Denham's group viewing sessions, she admits she is not providing sufficient commentary because she does not want to pause. Well, what's the problem with pausing? If I sat here and explained what's wrong on half these things, we'd be here for 20 hours. What am I doing right now? You can stop and talk about it. That's okay. In fact, that's good. That's what you should do, is stop and talk about it. Stop and talk about it. It's not a problem. It's not a sin. But yeah. I've gone in to try to explain why he's correct on one in like every 10 incorrect takes because I'm not trying to spend an entire week here. I don't even understand what to say because, yeah, this is wrong because this and this, another wrong take, another wrong one. Well, I just paused it for like 10 minutes. I feel bad pausing it again because surely there'll be something better here. Denham's admission that she failed to address the majority of the points is self-evident. This failure emphasizes Denham's primary purpose was to host a group viewing session, and criticism was an afterthought. That's the main key here, is that the criticism is not the main point of her video. And he brings that up with several examples. And I'm going to skim these because there's just a lot of examples. So Denims fails to address the Hamas section. Denims fails to address the Twitch section, right? Denims even mocks the nuke for making fair use of third-party clips, right? Denims does speak during her group viewing session. Most of her statements are brief in relation to the preceding section shown of the nuke, but have no critical bearing, such as making utterances that are totally incoherent and unclear, or spending time speaking with her chat on topics completely unrelated to the nuke. Well, guys, look, listen. I can't judge that. I talk to chat on unrelated topics all the time. Like, for example, here, Robert Escher. She might challenge RKI. That's Ramsey Khalid Ismail, Johnny Somali, by the way, RKI. You know, we call him RKI here for the cell phone title. See, RKI has nothing to do with it. And I'm talking to chat. It's not a sin, but I don't do it for the most of the episode. Allison Brown says, I truly enjoy your coverage. Thank you. You really do an excellent job of making all this make sense. Thank you. I appreciate it. I try to make it understandable. Prob says, I'm so glad to have your commentary as a substitute for reading the complaint. I don't think I read it elsewise. Thank you. Probs is a new member. Welcome. Itachi said maybe if she offers a free sub to her OnlyFans, the judge wouldn't help her. Oof. Frogan has the worst photo in the thumbnail. I know it's kind of bad. Jonathan says, what happens if Ethan wants to take it all the way to trial, but Dennis and Frogan have the money? He could get a default judgment. It's possible if they actually default on it. I mean, they could try to pro se. They could try to defend it themselves, do their own defense. That would be fun. What are the chances Hasan and Crow are watching this? And maybe I should use the insanity plea. I don't know, but I think they are watching, or at least I think like a lot of Hasan orbiters are probably watching, or Hasan fans are watching. And by the way, once again, you are totally allowed to watch and disagree or have an alternate opinion here, and all are welcome in the chat. Just do not spam. Don't violate YouTube terms of service. Don't say anything naughty, too naughty, like it's going to get anybody in trouble or whatever. Don't try to dox people, whatever else. And you're going to be good. You're welcome here. No all caps. And you are welcome. All right. Continuing on. Such as, let's see, Denim's frequently making superficial comments, such as referring to it as a high school project, a middle school project, calling Ethan so brave, saying she's going to die of cringe, saying Ethan is crashing out, saying they treat the audience as morons. Since Denim did not pre-screen the nuke, she frequently expresses confusion about a particular excerpt. She did not pre-screen it and frequently makes comments that are later contradicted by the nuke itself. Well, that's not okay. This is a weaker point. And this is why Ethan is putting it later. You do not have to. Let me make it clear. This is weaker. And once again, this is how I'm fair. It is a weaker point to say you have to pre-screen. You do not have to pre-screen. So this is not a winning argument. You do not have to pre-screen for you to have a legal reaction or whatever, or commentary. You don't have to pre-screen. You can just do it raw. And I'm going to be honest with you guys in chat. On my channel, many times, we do it raw. We do watch it raw. And that is not a sin. That's indeed not a sin. Let's continue. Okay. In the section containing Hasan's apology of China's genocide, she claims that Ethan fails to point out Hasan is wrong. Shortly after making these comments, they provide evidence that she was absent, which expresses the confusion. So, I mean, I think that stuff goes for more of she gets up and she's gone, and therefore she doesn't know, right? She doesn't know because she's gone, or she's not paying attention, or not providing good commentary. So what I'm going to do here is, let's go down here. I want to get down because there's a lot of instances where he's going through how she doesn't do enough and she fails to substantially comment and fails to give good commentary. And he goes through a long list of that. But I want to get into the legally juicy, or the legal beef, so to say here. And that, I'm scrolling down here a little bit to get to it. Let's see here. And once again, I want to make sure I use a good use of your time because I want to answer all these comments. We got a lot. All right. So we're going to go down after he gets through all the examples. And there were a lot of examples. Like there's like literally 10 pages of examples, right? Of which I'll read the conclusion here. Denim's conduct is so widespread. Several other members of Hasan's waiting room conducted a group viewing session immediately after. So the fact that all these creators did it, the fact that Frogan and Sean DeBlack and Casey Tron and Denims did it, the fact they all did it makes it worse. That's a good example. So he finishes pretty strong. Let's continue. First claim of relief, direct copyright infringement against Denims. So here we go. Here's a legal beat. TEI is the copyright owner of the Countdown and the Nuke. It has a registered copyright. Denims accessed it, right? She played them. They had no license, authorization, or consent for her to exploit the Countdown episode or Nuke in any manner. Rather, their group viewing session can constitute an unauthorized reproduction, public performance, and derivative work in violation of TI's rights in 17 USC. So, by the way, those random comments that people talk about Ethan Klein saying people can clip his content, that's not a license. That's not something that's going to hold up in court. I've watched it. No, it's not enough. So everyone who said watch it, like, oh, he said you could do whatever. No, he never said that. He never said that. Right? I've watched that. Due to Denim's acts of copyright infringement, they suffered damages in an amount to be determined at trial. Due to the act of copyright infringement, she obtained profits. They were done with actual and constructive knowledge, and they were willful, intentional, malicious, or taken with reckless disregard for their rights. Their second claim is against the mods. The mods facilitated. They knew this would infringe on copyright. They are responsible, and they materially contributed. Because of that, they suffered damages, and they had constructive knowledge. So they're asking for the following relief. So TEI, so that's Ethan Klein, wants to be awarded defendants. So that's both the mods and Denims and the H3 mods. They want to have all the profits plus the losses. So not only the money that Denims made, but also, more importantly, the money that Ethan lost, because Ethan lost more money than Denims made, because Ethan gets paid more for his views than Denims does, because he has sponsors and other things like that go into the equation. So she's getting DP'd, double punished, right? By her profits having to go to Ethan and Ethan's losses. That's a Denims DP, right? And H3 Mark DP, right? And that's what's attributable to the infringement. Now, TEI can also be awarded profits plus losses. Once again, I think the losses are the more substantial. Attributed to defendant's infringement of the nuke, the exact sum to be proven at trial, or if elected, and here's why he had to register, statutory damages in the amount of $150,000. So, ladies and gentlemen of the chat, she is going to have to pay the losses of Ethan Klein plus her revenue plus at minimum, 150K. You got 150K on the top. That is spicy. And the judge could elect, by the way, the judge could elect to not employ statutory damages and can use the other method, right? But I'm saying if they choose statutory damage, 150K plus the damages, that's a lot. That's cooking. Also, attorney's fees. Also, prejudgment interest as a law by law. Also, further relief. They're demanding a jury trial. You've got the down here, filed June 19th. We got to the end, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. We did it, boys. We finished this one complaint in 3 hours, 13 minutes. I didn't think we would do it. We did it, boys. We did it. We're going to get all the super chats here, though. Don't go anywhere, guys. Don't go anywhere. Crazy. Legal Mindset getting down and doing it raw with a juicy legal beef. You know it. Shadow Cloud Gaming says, if one mod wins while the other cases are still happening, could the other cases use the win as precedent? Yes. If one case goes forward and like wins, you can use it for the others. Yes. Can either broadcast a trial even if the people involved are public figures? No, federal trials do not allow cameras. So no. Bad News Badger, I'm late, so watch with a half-hour delay. Catch you on the flip side. Cool. Sinri says, sounds like we need to send super chats to the winner writer of the lawsuit. Nightway says, Tectone got a lawyer, so he's read out to you on X. Cool. Kenny Trickster said, a little tip for Casey Tron's lawyer, the Afro Man defense is 0 success rate. Chejashad Hari 7735 says, if Denim's is sued for copyright again in the future, can her malicious intent here be used against her? Can it be used in any specific conditions? Malicious intent is definitely something that's relevant, and it might be able to be used in different aspects. Been a paralegal for 25 years. Just have to say, I love your content. Thank you for educating people. Thank you for being here. And shout out to the paralegals and the lawyers in the chat. Appreciate all you guys. Appreciate you guys loving my channel. I try to dumb it down to make it accessible to everybody, but while giving people some education, a little bit, drip drop education throughout everything. So thank you. Chungus says, is there any chance it turns out to be elaborate internet reality TV? Well, that's fine. I'm okay if this is internet Jerry Springer, right? I am okay with that. I don't have a fundamental problem with that as a whole. If this is, some going to be like reality TV for people, but I am still going to be teaching the law, not the drama. 2 leading treatises, not cases. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Denims has said that she had legal counsel and they won't settle. It's on video. Okay, but she may change her mind. A lot of people say, I'm not going to settle, and they end up settling. So that's just, yeah. Toshizawa for 2. Thank you. Big Buddha said, how did Ethan get Shu's legal name and why was it relevant? I don't know. I mean, it was probably somewhere out there. I mean, it's still relevant to that interaction. And it's, I don't think it's a problem. I think Shu's got that. And she's also married, so I think she's changed her name. A Rip Boza situation. Long live the Roach King. Hezrat says, can he be forced to settle? No. Shrexpert says, will it hurt Denim's defense that she deleted her nuke reaction and re-uploaded after removing the bit that she asked for Prime's donors? Yes, that could be potential spoliation. Now, not necessarily, but it could. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Denim's isn't settling and confirmed herself. She could change her mind. GLP says, doubtful GFM will be compelled to disclose donors since they have no financial interest. CF, patent lit financing, or even big TM cases. Fair enough. When I say potentially, that doesn't mean necessarily. So fair enough point on that. I'll concede that point. L Essence 3616 says, what I like most of the cases is that all 3 now, 4 streamers getting sued because Ethan added Sean the Black to this, all and keep incriminating themselves. Tyan Eki said, there's no legal carve-out for live streaming or personality to be exempt from fair use. That's not even hubris. It's plain old brain damage. I just think it's stupidity. I mean, it's just the 39 IQ, which we have a 39 IQ emoji in the chat. Just like RKI and Vitali, they think they're above the law because they're streamers and Americans. They need a harsh reality check. I agree. Greenwolf says, are there any specific judges that understand internet culture? I feel like most judges will be confused by some of the lingo. No, I think I think they did a good job of explaining what things were. Like when they said LARPing, they said live action role playing. They spelled it out, and the judge can look it up. I think they're savvy enough, and they can look these things up. By the way, judges have done internet cases. It's not the first internet case. Now, the first internet cases, some judges weren't great, but now they're better. Funky says, I've been thinking of YouTube and Twitch as hot fuzz. Cool. Spark says, here, published versus unpublished verdicts. Does setting precedent in this case require verdict or judgment? It requires a verdict and or final judgment. So it's going to require a summary judgment or a jury verdict. So it requires one of the two, or a directed verdict, some sort of final judgment. A settlement is not enough for case precedent. Raw dog the law. That's right. Jennifer Winkler says, do you think a lawyer might take the case at a reduced rate because it's fair use? Yes. So Denims, Frogan, and Casey Tron may get a bleeding heart lawyer that does this for fame or for interest, or hey, maybe like a simp, like Denims has a lawyer simp, and maybe the lawyer will simp and get in there. That's very possible. There's a lot of simps out there, so they'll do it for just a bathwater, like Denim's bathwater. So who knows? There's a lot of possibilities. Zimzok says close to 500K each with no. What do you think? Like in terms of damages, could they have to pay 500K in damages? It is possible. Now I think it probably will be lower. My guess would be like maybe, let's say like if there's like 200,000 was like the total, or 250, especially considering 150K statutory. So if you put 150K statutory plus another 50 or 100, once again, $250,000, $250,000 is a lot of money. It's a spoliation or spoliation. I know I spelled it wrong at one point, so I am very sorry about that. Let me pull up the proper spelling. I know I got that one wrong. So spoliation, right? Which is SPOLITION. Spoliation. Action de spoiler for our French people out there, our francophones. Gig 4SL says for 50 big ones. Thank you so much for the big support. Says, love the content. My brother's an immigration attorney. Cool. It's like same. I do some of that now. And he's regularly abused by the boss of his firm. She's self-employed. Is this a stain on your industry? No. Look, once again, the law that we all have good and bad in us, and every industry is good and bad. There's good lawyers and bad lawyers. All lawyers are not bad or good. There are good and bad, like all other humans, and I respect those that are good lawyers. Be a good lawyer. If you want to be a lawyer, be a good lawyer, or, be a legal commentator. That's fun too. Itachi said, if they can settle, can they put it in terms for her to refund the GoFundMe? It's possible. Yes, they could put a settlement can be anything legal. As long as you don't require somebody to do something illegal, it's fine. And last but not least, Orange says, are they able to use the argument that community is in such bad terms with H3 that H3 did not probably lose as much as the damage? No, that would not work much at all. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a fast facts that is coming up right now, talking about the bias that Hasan has claimed in the system and in LawTube. This is a very funny argument by Hasan. If you want to see this, all you have to do is hang out, and you're going to be redirected to that right now. So guys, like the video, stay based, check out the fast facts. It's like under 10 minutes. It's 9 minutes. Go check that out, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.
You are coping the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping the ceiling. The truth it is all day, and now you are more.